Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun, dun, boom. Ba,
that's
da,
just
da,
so sad. It's just so
da.
sad.
Come, coming to you live from the Hellmouth adjacent. It's the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host Payne,
And I'm Bill,
and welcome to episode 92. We're back.
the much delayed episode 92, since we had a little break in there.
Our last episode, Bill, was June of 23.
June 23 of 2019.
Yep.
So we've been gone for about a month and a week.
Yeah, and as we're coming back on, I was giving a little bit of a music intro,
Hmm.
and my Google Hangout on Air is telling me that it is going away on August 1st.
Right.
So,
So enjoy this broadcast because it might be the last one for a while. Fans, super
we
fans,
took a
and
month
people like
off. We're back. We still don't have any music, and we're being alerted that we're going to have to find some sort of new. What did you just say? We can barely get the show to air
we can
now.
barely get the show to the air now with the software we have, and they're yanking that. So good luck to us.
We can't be the only ones. How is everybody else doing? How are all these true crime podcast people doing it?
We
What
could
am,
go
what am I
back to
missing?
Skype, I guess.
What?
I don't recall that was
Oh,
really super successful, but okay.
oh, Bill, I'm getting old. I don't have time to do this
Oh,
research. I probably need to enlist my nephew. Maybe I should bring him up here for Uncle Nephew weekend and just put him
oh
on to
yeah,
work on getting
yeah.
our
Chain him to the
podcast on
chair for
air.
Uncle Nephew weekend and see how that goes. That'll go well.
I'll throw down a plate of food, whatever
Wow,
else. Ah, Bill, we haven't done the show in so long. Is it like riding a bike? I don't know.
it's like riding a bike. Plus, we have a lot of news to cover, so
Do we?
we do because there was a lot of stuff
I
that we
looked
didn't
through my
cover.
podcast topic files from June 23rd. I wrote about 4 or 5 things. I know we had a lot of news since then. I mean, I miss kind of putting our show out there, connecting with our fans. I mean, there are lots that's happened. By the way, I like to point out live on air, episode 92. I am engaged, Bill.
Oh, right. See, that happened.
That's
So
happened over
there's a
this
lot of news,
past month over here. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's just like your personal
Yeah.
life.
What's that?
I see that's a big news announcement, and that's just your personal life. Plus, we've got all the other like
Yeah,
real news and stuff to cover
yeah.
for the fans.
Now I'm going to be like you. I'm going to be dropping the word fiance every now and then.
That's fine. That's nice. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you very
You're welcome.
much. Yeah. I'm gonna pretty soon be legitimate.
Well,
No more
I don't know
living
if
in
we'll call it
sin.
that. That's a big stretch. But okay.
And there's been something what I mean, obviously during a month off, as with anything, there's always this whole cycle of birth, life, and death. At any point in time, as the older we get, this is clearly what happens. You have kids having kids, you have people getting married, you have people graduating, you have people switching jobs, you have people moving, you have people dying. It just
It's what the
becomes more and more
insurance
apparent.
people call major life changes.
Yes, yeah, it's yeah. I don't know if I'm really a fan of major life changes as I age, though.
Well,
Um,
it's better than the option, which is major death changes. So,
well, when you put it like that.
right.
For the fans out there, Bill has been on vacation for about a month. He actually was able to make it down to North Carolina and get some sun and rays. Did you avoid the brain-eating viruses in the water?
I did. It doesn't seem that I've caught any of those because I also read when I was there because of course I was like getting a little paranoid that that stuff only happens in fresh water. We were at the ocean, so that's salt water, so we were good.
Okay. You think that you're really going to risk everything on those distinctions?
Well, when however many cases have come up and they've all been one type with just fresh water, then you kind of think, well, maybe I'll be okay. Now,
Okay.
there's other things you can get in the ocean, like shark bites and stuff that are also dangerous, but none of those befell us on our trip this year. So, yay.
Okay. So I'm returning to work. I'm no longer really working from home now. I'm heading back into the job. I'll be heading back in tomorrow. Bill, when will you be heading back to work?
Thursday. It's the day that we do not refer to. So that's how I feel about it.
Before I contacted you, I was watching Dumbo on the television as I was looking through some of the potential news stories.
Mhm.
With directed by Tim Burton, starring Danny DeVito and what's his name, Colin Farrell, and Michael Keaton makes an appearance in there.
You were watching this in the
I
Payne
turned
Home
it off
Theater.
about in the whole.
Payne Home Theater, which is also known as
I
as
forgot who
TV
was
on a
in.
TV stand.
I, I think when I had my youngest nephew down here in the basement, you remember my basement? It's got that like
Yes, I've been
plastic
there.
covering over the brick wall.
Yeah.
My nephew looked at it and goes, "How come the basement's not finished?"
The
And I was
5-year-old
just like,
nephew said that.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah." He's just like, "What's up with this?" I'm like, "It's by design. Why would you shut your mouth until you get a job, okay?"
Wow.
But
Nice.
but anyway, I watched about 41 minutes of Dumbo and then I ejected it.
Because
Bored, don't care. Seen it
it's a classic.
before. Yeah, it didn't translate for me at all here. It was all very. This is something that's built for somebody that's like 8. I mean, the kids with the wide eyes and the overacting of Danny DeVito, and then Michael Keaton gets out chewing the scenery. I'm past it. It's that stylistic Tim Burton thing going on. I don't care for it now. It's get a new shtick. How about he tries his hand at horror with all the goofy characters? That's what I want.
I think kind of
Do
the goofy
something different.
characters is part of his shtick.
Yeah, the shtick is old now.
Okay. The
It
whole
was
movie's only
fresh.
what, an hour and a half?
No, it's a hour and 52 minutes.
Well,
What the fuck?
the original was not that long, so I don't know why the new one.
Dumbo's an hour and 52 minutes. It doesn't need to be that long. Okay. Not
Okay.
to mention, the thing with the animals and then the people mistreating and dying. I mean, you just saw Lion King here. Sometimes I have a weak constitution when it comes to animals.
Meaning the animal torture scenes were upsetting to you?
Anything like that. I mean, did you not see Blackfish? I mean, do you go to SeaWorld anymore? Did you ever see
Is
Blackfish?
there a SeaWorld? I don't even think there. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, there's a SeaWorld.
Okay.
Would you
No,
go
I
to
did not see.
SeaWorld?
Well, maybe when I was like 5.
Yeah, would you go now?
Would I go now? I don't think I would have a problem with going.
Shame. You need to watch Blackfish then. And when you watch Blackfish and then you see how that
Is
the
this the thing
Shamus
about
and
what they do to the Shamus?
yeah, what is it, Teakum? He was sitting there with scratches and claws and living in like an ounce of water. Bill, you're not going to
Okay, Jacques
SeaWorld.
Cousteau. I mean, really? I didn't
For the
like
love
I
of
said,
Teakum, you are not going to SeaWorld,
I
okay?
don't even know if that's a thing that still exists. The state of Ohio's gone anyway. I know SeaWorld in Ohio has been gone for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, as well as it should be. I mean, you talk about a movie ruining a business model. That's
Wow.
certainly it. But either way, my point of the matter is between just general death um, and animal mistreatment, it's just not really something I really gravitate towards. But I'm not saying that has to apply completely to Dumbo. I just felt that this is something I've seen a million times before and didn't see anything original, and I was just bored. So I ejected it.
So eject. Boink. There it goes.
You saw The Lion King. Well, I guess if we were going to be talking about this Dumbo that I just had in there, you saw The Lion King, right?
Well, yeah, we saw a lot of movies this summer. So we should probably like
Have we
talk
seen a
about,
movie in between June 23rd and July 28th?
yeah, like 3.
Do my do my
Well,
DVDs count?
no. I'm counting
The-
Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm
oh,
counting The Lion King. Well, I saw The Lion King. Toy Story 4, I saw. And yesterday I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's like 4 movies in
I feel like you're putting me in some sort of category of disrespect.
How so?
because you saw 4 movies over that month, and then I can't count my streaming or DVDs. I feel like Netflix. That's what I feel like you're treating me. I feel like you're treating me like Netflix, and you're some sort of like movie conglomerate over there
I'm
going.
not. I mean, you listen. You see your movies how you see your movies, but if we're talking like going to the movies this summer, I did a lot of that. Now, as you know, which I was going to get into later in the broadcast, this is one of the most disappointing summers for movies that I've ever experienced in recent memory. So it's not like I'm trying to brag about it.
Well, I'm still going to discuss my movies on our show,
That's fine.
even if I did not see them in the live theater surrounded by people I don't want to be around.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, we did see Spider Man together, so that's at least one.
Okay. I saw Hellboy, and I've been watching Last Chance U, and I've been watching The Boys on Amazon Prime, and a few other Netflix shows.
Oh, where? That's
Well, where do you want to start with that? I figured we just flow into the Lion King since I started with Dumbo.
well, okay. Lion King was okay.
Nadia liked, she liked Lion King.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain this really thoroughly except to say ho hum. Um the CG is impressive for about the first 5 minutes. But
Okay,
all
sounds good.
technology is impressive when it's like, new or cutting edge, at least for a few minutes. It doesn't really sustain the freshness for an hour and 58 minutes or however long this movie was. It's basically a word for word translation into CG animation from hand drawn animation.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't impressed.
So, when you say wasn't impressed, based on what you just said, if you had a child, okay,
Oh, it's
are
already going down a dark
you
path for me, but okay.
if you're saying it's a frame for frame type of thing with impressive CGI, would
Hmm.
you show him the hand drawn Disney Lion King or the CGI Lion King now?
Hand
What's
drawn is the
the
classic, hands down. It's
But if
classic
the CGI is just so amazing and well done, why wouldn't you just show him the new one?
because it's
It's
missing certain.
updated and better improved. It's like you coming over
It's
here
up.
and I'm showing I'm giving you the Housewives of the Potomac on standard definition, and then you're going, it needs to be high def. It's so much better on high def.
It's not just the technology that makes the movie a classic. It's certain characterizations. It's hard to explain, but in CG, the translation is not really there. It loses something. From the hand drawn animation is actually more. The characters are more expressive in the hand drawn animation version than they are in the CG version because they're trying so hard to make it look realistic, like real live animals, and animals don't. Their faces don't express that much. Whereas in animation, they're free to make them more human or more expressive because it's animated and it's just more expressive. I don't know how else to explain it. Um, so yeah, it loses something in translation.
Scooties, my intern, please put out on the Twitter feed for our fans and listeners, which do you want? The new Lion King or the old Lion King? I'll
Is
let you
that
know the
Scooty
results at
snoring
the end
that I
of the
hear?
show.
Yeah, we'll have the
What's that?
results of that poll. We'll have the results of that poll at the end of the show. Um, so you know how I'm always talking about how movies have to have something that makes them, or TV shows, when they add something new or reboot something, they have to do something that makes the thing necessary to be told. This movie was just completely unnecessary. Lion King was perfect the way it was, and them going in and rebooting it, not changing really anything. I mean, we're talking like word for word here, okay? The key to the success of these nostalgia reboots and redos and stuff is having certain points of it being recognizable and being something that you can have nostalgia for, and then also including new, fresh elements to it. That was the key to Star Wars The Force Awakens, and that's, I think, the key to these reboots. And when you do it translated word for word, it just there's no real point to it. There's nothing new except the animation style or technique.
And you're obviously speaking for yourself because the movie's making gobs of money.
Sure, I'm not speaking for anybody else,
So
obviously.
with Aladdin, do you consider that to be a worthy, I don't know, revisiting?
Aladdin at least had some fresh elements to it. It at least had like a new song that was more than like two verses or more than one verse, which is what you get in The Lion King with Beyonce's song Spirit, which I do like the song that they added, but it's just not really even in the movie that much. Whereas at least with Aladdin, she had like a whole song that was new. They changed up a few elements to the storyline a little bit. It was fresher than Lion King. I wasn't in love with Aladdin either, to be honest, but it was okay. I
So
told
where
you
are
I've
you
had a
at now?
disappointing
You love the
summer.
Beauty and the Beast, right?
I did. I
So
did.
where are
Beauty
you
and the
at
Beast.
now
I'm at a
in
point
terms of because
where,
we got a lot more of these coming down the pipeline, Bill.
yeah, I'm up to the
We've
point
got
where
Mulan, we got Little Mermaid.
I'm not going to see Mulan. Um, but I will see The Little Mermaid, and I'm to the point where I will see these movies on a case by case basis and judge them according to how each movie does. I'm not just gonna go, oh my god, it's a Disney reboot. I can't freaking wait for it. It doesn't matter. It's a Disney reboot. No, I'm kind of a little over it, but I will still see them. They need to do something fresher. I'm sorry. You can't just put a CG spin on an animated tail and call it new. You can't piss on my leg and call it rain.
Okay, why are you not going to? So where are you at? Lion King. Thumbs up, thumbs down, greatest scale
Thumbs
1
in
to
the
10,
middle.
1 to 5.
Thumbs in the middle. Um, it's just part of my overall great disappointing cinematic summer.
But the thing about it is, if you've never saw the hand-drawn Lion King and you saw this Lion King, would you not walk away loving it as much as you did the hand-drawn?
I don't know because that's not what happened to me.
Okay. Um,
I would suggest anybody who wants to see the story of the Lion King and are interested in it because of this movie and are interested in the whole and general idea of the Lion King, I would suggest that they stick in the animated version first.
I think Lion King is one of the few shows when I finally did watch it, I shed a tear. I think it was it when Mustafa dies. Is it Mustafa?
Mufasa.
Mufasa? I think I
Yeah.
shed a tear while I was sitting there watching it. I was watching it in somebody's living room, and I was like this. I'm like this. Ugh, this damn Disney's doing it to me again. I'm shedding a tear.
I will be interested to see what you think of it, considering how much you enjoyed the Jungle Book update, and I never saw that update.
But I felt with the Jungle Book update, there was some sort of, as you would call, new elements to it.
Sure.
Part of it is, listening to you talk, and I heard your review prior to the show a little bit, is that, you know, it's the same thing when we had, what was it, Total Recall. They did a reboot with Colin Farrell.
Sure.
You kind of, if you like the old story, they're going to do a new story, but you want to have some of those elements, but you want to have some new things. I want it to be like, why do I need to go see this movie? And is a new animation technique, as you said, something that's worthy of it. You know,
I'll be
I
frankly
I
honest
I
with you.
I don't know because I know the story. I'm just going there to see them. Like, for me, sometimes the extra pixels and the fact that they're sitting there going like, "Ooh, this hair can move," and look at this, look at the art and the CG. I don't. That actually for me doesn't really move the needle. Um, the story is the story, and the story is good. I like it. I just don't know if it's enough for me to spend $10 just to see them put a new coat of paint on it. I don't know. I mean, it's like Ted Turner going, "I watched the film and I scrubbed it." Um, okay, I got it. If it's something that's really near and dear to me, of course I'll take it. But I don't know if I'm going to rush out to see something like that. You
Well, I
know,
was I was slightly disappointed with the movie, so I went and watched the
it's like you
original
rushing
after.
out. The reason which you go out and see Avengers Endgame, you didn't. But I mean, you were willing to go out it when you said there was some sort of new extra content in there.
You're
It's
talking
been
about the re-release of
the
Endgame,
re-release, yeah.
right? Versus the original version, which I did see immediately because
Yes.
reasons. Um,
So how come you're not going to go see Mulan then?
I don't. It looks like they're
Outside of
changing.
your other racist tendencies, do you have anything else to say outside of that?
I didn't like Mulan, to be honest with you. When I saw the original version, the animated version is not a classic favorite of mine. So I don't particularly have any desire or need to see the Mulan that they're releasing. Not to
Okay, so
mention,
you didn't like the original
I did not.
animation movie. Okay. What about Little Mermaid?
Oh, I'm there.
Now, Little Mermaid had a little bit of controversy over this time that we had off here because they cast for Ariel. They did not cast a Caucasian redheaded girl to play the part. They did cast somebody that seems to be of color. What's her name? Haley Bailey? I think everybody wants to
Halle
call her
Bailey.
Halle Berry,
It's Halle
but
Bailey.
Halle
Bailey.
Bailey?
Yes.
And do we know her from anything?
I think she's been in some kind of Disney show or something, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, stuff we're
I've never
not
seen her.
watching unless we're perverts or have
Wow.
children.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the casting. I'm just gonna put it out there, and it's not necessarily due to race, although that might be an element to it. Look, Ariel in the original version of The Little Mermaid, the classic animated show, is Caucasian. I don't know why it's necessary to change the race of a character that's already established. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, you're just a hater, Bill. That's what you are. You're just a hater.
I mean, I guess if you want to say that's hating, I guess that's hating. Okay, I'll take that.
yeah. I'm sure Melissa, superfan Melissa, would have a term for that right there, but we don't have enough show for that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'm going to use the old thing you used to say to me probably 50
If she
shows
was
ago.
not African American, would you have a problem with it? You're not married to the Little Mermaid anyway, so
Well, no, but I think as I learn and grow, Bill, I'm not some sort of Neanderthal living back in, my three sons in the 1960s here. I grow and learn. And so part of it is, I think you've influenced me 50 shows ago. See, I'm actually maturing, and you
well,
yourself
that's
are
good because
becoming one of those.
you had
You're
maturity
becoming the
too.
old man on my lawn, shaking his fist at the sky guy, going, "This is the way I had it back when I was a kid. It's gotta be this way and no other way. We make eggs scrambled. We don't do this over easy." Yeah, okay, that's what you're doing. For me, taking your advice, it's a work of fiction. It's a work of fiction. They can make it whatever they want. It's not existing. It's not true.
They can make
It's
it
some.
whatever they
It's
want.
it's a mermaid. As you would tell me before, when I sit there and I go, I need it to be real, Bill. You would sit there and say it's a woman undersea with a fishtail that has other fish talking to her and singing songs underwater. It's not real.
They can
So
make
they
it
can do
however
whatever
they
the fuck
want.
they want to do.
Yeah, and I don't have to like it. So yeah, they can do what they want, but I don't have to be in love with it.
And there you go.
There you go. I mean,
It's always like you with this. The first rule is I am always right. Rule number two, if I am wrong, refer to rule number one.
look, it's not. I don't want to get into this whole Black
I
Lives
know
Matter thing.
I'm not going to drag you down into that whole thing there.
Let's just say
But,
I feel
but do you
part of it.
understand the fans that would sit there when they cast Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell as being offended by that and being upset now? Or do you sit there and say that's out of place for them because Scarlett Johansson is bringing money there?
I guess I
Or
understand it. It's
are
just
you on
not a
their side
property.
now going, well, first of all, you're saying this character is always supposed to be this way, and now you're changing it.
Look, I'm not bankrolling it, so I
Oh,
don't
so
really
it's
have.
okay with them to make that money decision then.
Okay,
So
right.
is it okay that they make a money decision that they feel that it's, the casting of this might actually be more beneficial to them?
Yeah, I think that's nonsense. But okay, sure. I guess it's okay for them to do that. I still don't. It's not okay with me personally, but it's okay that they're doing it as a general thing, I guess.
Okay. Despite your, I don't know what I want to call it, your rigidness, it's good to see that you're not going to be pissing on the Little Mermaid. You're actually going to still go pay money to see it.
Well, sure, it's the Little Mermaid. I mean, they could if it's a Disney remake of one of my favorite movies of all time, then yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there
I'm
with my
hoping that
disappointed hat on if I don't care for the casting.
I'm hoping that when you go see The Little Mermaid, you can walk out with some sort of new love for people of color
Me too.
and some other.
You don't think I want to go in there and be disappointed and sit there for 2 hours and be like, oh, if only she was white? I don't want to think that, and I hope I don't think that. But the impetus is on Disney to make me forget about this because it feels, to be honest with you, like I'm being manipulated racially because they are having an agenda of social progressiveness, and I feel like it's manipulative. I feel like they're doing it just to say we've cast a black actress in this part to be modern, I suppose. It just doesn't feel organic to me. It feels like they're doing this. It feels like they said we're only
But you
seeing
felt that
African
you
American.
felt you felt. Uh, I'm not gonna. Okay, we're gonna move on from this, but I will ask you one last question on it. Then you didn't have a problem with this with Force Awakens, though.
I didn't because Finn was not an established character. That was a new character and had a
Okay,
clean
but the
slate.
whole idea though is I don't find that to be something that was organic what they were trying to do. I don't think they sat there and said that this person here was the best person for the role. We want to do a female, we want to add a few minorities to it. It seemed that was clear that they were trying to do
Well,
that.
that was the beginning of this current movement. And now that we're several years in and several movies in and several agendas in, I'm starting to feel manipulated by this subject. And with Finn, that was, like I said, the beginning of this happening. And I didn't quite feel the agenda as much as I do today.
What are you talking about? They had a lead female actor and then they had two other minorities playing the second and third pillars of the movie. It's like a
At the
hammer.
time, I did not feel like it was forced. I felt like they were just trying to be inclusive. But at this point, I feel like they dismissed all the Caucasian actresses that came to the audition for Little Mermaid and said we're only seeing minorities for this part. That's what I'm starting to
How
feel
do
like.
you know that? How do
I
you know
don't.
that? What
I
Alex
don't know
Jones
that.
site are you on?
I don't know that, but I'm starting to feel that way because it seems to be a agenda instead of just a thing that's happening once in a while or here and there. It feels like an agenda. I don't like to be manipulated like that, especially over race.
So if they create a new original project, if they have a new Disney show that's called
They did.
I
It
don't
was called
know.
Princess and the Frog, starring a black
No, no,
princess, and it made
right,
five
right.
dollars.
Yeah,
I just
outside of the
rewatched
Princess
it.
of
It's
Fog.
adorable.
What what if they do a new show that's just based on some sort of like some author comes in, he goes, I want to pitch you a new thing. It's about this little girl who is like created out of like a swampland or not swampland, maybe some trees. I don't know, moonlight. I don't know. And the girl comes out and they go out and do a casting call and they decide to cast Halle Berry's daughter. Is
If
that
the part
fine, or
call,
is you going to?
if the part is written as an African American child
No, no,
or
no.
character,
The part is not written as an African. It's just the part. It's a person that wrote a story. There's no color attached to it. It's
well, when
original.
you see the animation,
And they cast Halle Berry's child. Is that going to be a gender, or is that just going to
is
be
this
they
live
felt
action
like
or
she was best?
animation?
This is live action. It's an original story. Original story, live action.
Then no, I won't have a problem.
You won't sit there and say the only reason why Halle Berry's daughter got this part was because she was black. Nothing else.
No, I won't feel it as much as when they take a part that's already been established as a
So if
certain
they can't,
thing.
if they give it to Scarlett Johansson's daughter, you would sit there and say that's, of course, there's no agenda there because they give her the part just in
It would
general.
feel like less of an agenda to me than what they're doing with the Little Mermaid.
So
I'm
when any
sorry.
minority gets a part from here on out, it won't be based on their talent.
It's starting to feel that way.
Well, that's just ridiculous, Bill. That's so heartbreaking.
Well, I'm sorry. This is just how I feel. That's how I feel
I
about it.
understand that, but that's just so heartbreaking for me that you have all these good actors. I would think you would think who would be a very good actor of like Sidney Poitier. You're telling me that anytime that Sidney Poitier gets an acting job from here on out, it won't be because he has talent?
What year is he getting the acting job? Is it 2019? Then maybe not.
2019.
Then maybe it will be questionable because of what's happening with the agenda. There's an agenda here. It's quite obvious what's happening. And like I said, I don't care for the manipulation of it. I'm not against African American getting parts. I'm not against African American getting lead parts. I'm not against anything about that. What I'm against is an agenda that seems to me to be forcing a certain political through line versus just letting
What
the things
about the
happen.
fact that it's opening up opportunities for people who never got opportunities?
Again, we're going to have to drop
So
this.
we're only so let's it's like American Idol. Where does American Idol go to get their casting?
I don't
American
know.
Idol goes. What's that?
I don't know.
Well, no, I'm going to give you an example. So for the American Idol show, American Idol goes to the cities somewhere located in Sweden. They go to Russia and they go to Italy. Okay?
Okay.
This is where they do for the first 4 seasons. So all their cast members are all people of Caucasian descent. Sweden, whatever, Russia, and Italy. They do that for 4 seasons, Bill. And then somebody comes on and says, you know what, we need to expand our circle of things a little bit instead of just going to the same towns. And we decide to go over to Hong Kong, and we also decide to go over to Los Angeles, and we decide to go to New York City. Is that somehow a problem that they're trying to open it up instead of just going to certain areas and certain places all the time?
Nope.
Okay. Are we supposed to only somehow cast from people who live in Des Moines, Iowa? Can we cast from people that live in Atlanta? What is the agenda
You're
to sit there and
hearing the
go
part
that we're supposed to maybe try to expand opportunities for people?
you're hearing the part of the thing that you want to hear and you're not hearing what I'm saying about the fact
Okay.
that the part is an established character that's been established as Caucasian in the original that they are adapting into live action. In this instance, in this case, I don't feel that it is right because
Did
they
you
are
have a
recasting the character.
issue? Did you have a issue with Fantastic Four with Josh Trank's version of it?
I did not.
Why not? Because in Fantastic Four, obviously Mr. Fantastic, as well as Sue Storm and everybody else, their parents are white, but in this one here, they had a mixed family.
Well, there have been several iterations of the Fantastic Four story on screen. I don't think there's going to. So there was opportunities for the original cast. Plus, let's just say Fantastic Four wasn't necessarily my giant cup of tea when I was growing up, and Little Mermaid was a formative film for my formative years. So I wasn't as invested in the Fantastic Four, but there's also been, like I said, multiple Fantastic Four sets of movies, and there's not likely to be a reboot of Little Mermaid in which they give you the original version in another version of the Little Mermaid that's coming up. It might happen. I mean, let's not put Disney past making a buck, but it's not as likely as there are with these comic
So
book
what you
films where
have
there
is
would be
you have
multiple
some sort of
versions.
emotional element to this as well, because
Yeah,
clearly you don't have a problem with Fantastic Four doing it. You didn't have a problem with Ghost in the Shell doing it. Depends on your level of attachment to the property. If it's something
partially.
you're attached to and what the original, then you need it to be a certain way, but you didn't necessarily have a problem with Fantastic Four.
Correct.
So if you have, how do you say it, several Batmans. How many Batman movies do we have?
Um,
I don't know.
different. There's probably three or four.
4, 7.
There's four different
Okay.
realities.
It's the same thing with like
Multiverses.
James Bond. We've got a million James Bonds, different actors playing James Bonds. We have a million Batmans. At some point, would you be offended if they decide to go with a Batman of color or a James Bond of color?
I don't really care about James Bond. Batman, I'm not a fan of it, but there's been multiple opportunities for there to be different versions of Batman. So if I don't like the one they're giving me, I have three other versions to go to.
Yeah. What if they just did an Elseworlds Batman? Batman from World 2030.
Well, I think I'm over DC rebooting Batman altogether. As
Well,
it is, we're
outside,
already
that's not
getting another
really
Batman.
answering the question. I mean, they're not going to get rid of Batman. He's an icon. But I mean, the whole idea is that there's different multiverses and all these universes of superheroes and comics. You can have a Batman, the same thing that they're doing with the female Thor. What's the issue?
I don't have an issue with that.
Which
Hello?
part?
The female Thor.
Okay. You don't have a problem with Anthony Mackie holding the shield.
I don't have a problem with Anthony Mackie becoming Captain America
Okay, why not?
because Anthony Mackie's cool.
Okay. There is no consistency with you. There's
I don't
just
know why
no
you try to pin me down. Every time you try to pin me down, I
I'm
will
not
not be
trying to
pinned down.
pin you down. I'm just trying to figure out some of the consistency or figure some of the parameters here.
I don't have
And part
parameters.
of
I might be inconsistent. I can't tell you. All I can tell you is how I feel about a specific issue.
you're like a crazy individual. You never know one day. Someday I might serve you peas and you may smack it off the table. I don't bring you peas, I bring you eggs. You eat those up, and I think you bring you spinach. I don't know with you. You're like a crazy old coot. I don't
Here's
know.
the deal. The Little Mermaid is white. Let's move on to the next subject. We've got a lot to cover here.
I may actually go see The Little Mermaid with you just so I can sit there and smile at you and eat popcorn and just look at your face the whole time. That's what I want. When you go to see The Little Mermaid, I want to be there too, just so I can eat popcorn and look at you.
I
whole
hope I
time.
find it more enjoyable than I found either Aladdin or The Lion King remakes, to be honest.
I think you should be mad at them for actually even doing the remakes. I feel like it's more of a money grab as opposed to anything else.
Well, it just depends.
That's
Beauty
the
and
part.
the Beast,
That's the part that I offend the most is the fact that it is somehow considered to be original and doing something well, when essentially is we're just sitting there putting a new coat of paint and pushing it out and expecting you people all to go see it, and I'm supposed to sit there as a consumer, as a fan, to be like, "Thank you, Disney, because this is what I want." How original on your part.
you don't have
Wonderful.
to, but you can, and you can find things that are enjoyable in them. Beauty and the Beast was very enjoyable. Cinderella's remake was very enjoyable. I just think it's getting to the point where it's starting to become lazy. When you just, like I said, when we just covered this, it's just when you take something and translate it word for word into something that's just a new medium, it seems like there's a lack of something in there that just doesn't feel fresh.
Who you telling? Who you telling?
You asked me what I thought of The Lion King, and somehow it turned into a race issue with The Little Mermaid, and we have been on this for 10 minutes, and we need to go move on.
I know we do. What about the gays, Bill? What about the gays? When we start
What
putting the
about the
gays in the
gays?
movie,
Mhm.
am I going to look at you and go, Bill? The only reason why we have these gays in here is because they have a little bit more power in Hollywood, and that they were fine wherever they were at on Logo. I don't know why they're just not on Logo. They have their own channel.
Is there a specific question in here?
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question is, when I start to see the gays like in the Eternals, is the only reason why they're there is because that they're trying to put them there for a certain reason, and
Yeah,
that
it's
why
called
are they just not
political
staying on
action,
Logo?
and yeah, they're trying to appeal to a wider range. And yeah, listen, if it, but if they're adapting characters, I don't know. They are
But are you going
talking
to be
about.
saying that about the gays when you get the gays in Eternal? That are you going to be sitting there going, "There's no reason for this character here because the only reason why they're doing it is because of an agenda."
Yes, I might, and maybe I won't. Is that good enough answer? I don't know.
That's exactly right. You're going to be sitting there going, "Oh, this is so great. This
That's
reminds
not
me of my
necessarily
husband
true.
and I relationship here. And it's good to see some gays up there." And I'm going to be like, "Bill, this is a political agenda." You're like, "No, no, no. I like the character. It really fits. I like this guy. What's his
It just
name?
depends.
Muscles McGee. I like Muscles McGee on there. It's appropriate for here.
I was
Like
just
it's
reading an
in his suit
article
and everything
called
else.
"Gay Coding and Disney Villains," and I never really understood what gay coding was, But apparently, gay coding is this thing where there are certain mannerisms or affectations by certain characters that are not necessarily considered gay, but have gay connotations to them. And when you think about it, Ursula was actually, well, I read in the article, I didn't realize this, was actually based off a drag queen named Divine that was alive in the 70s. And then, but I've seen some Divine movies, and once I read that, I said, oh, you know what? There's kind of some Divine in Ursula. But Scar is classically effete, is the word I think. Um, Jafar from Aladdin has gay mannerisms.
Classic what?
Say what now? Are you there?
What are these gay mannerisms that apparently
Scar has
these
limp
villains are
wrist.
supposed
He
to have?
says certain things in a certain affected way, like "oh goody," or it's very like over the top. And rewatching these movies over this past couple of weeks has made me sort of look at them again and go, you know, there's something to that. But at the time, they weren't considered stereotypical. I mean, they were, but no one really made an issue out of it. Okay, and so I don't think today
I don't know
though
if
that's
people really find that's part of the stereotype. I really don't know if people really find gays to be intimidating.
you're cutting out.
But go ahead, continue
Say that
on
again.
with this nonsense. Hello?
Yeah, say that again. You were cutting out. Are you there?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Like you're cutting in and out. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. What was I saying?
So you were saying about you don't know if people consider certain things.
I was insulting you about your. I said continue on because I don't think anybody I would argue that would find gays to be intimidating, but I would like you to finish your thought on this.
Just saying that when I go back and look at them, I don't even remember what my original point is now. To be honest with you.
When you go back and look at these characters, you find that they have some sort of
Gay characteristics.
gay genesis.
Right. I don't think if these movies were made today, if the original versions, the animated versions were made today, that these kinds of things would fly under the radar as much as they have in the past. Because of today's political correctness, I mean, I think there would be some objections. And in fact, I think in some of these live action versions, they've made an attempt to sort of downplay the sort of gay mannerisms that were originally involved with some of these characters. I mean, like I know in Aladdin, Jafar is not nearly as over the top and campy as he is in the original. And maybe that's part of it is that they're trying to be realistic and trying to be less cartoony.
Yes,
And
that
part of
seems
it
to be
is
more than
maybe,
reasonable.
but part of it is maybe that they're trying not to be as stereotypical as they have been with some of their villains in the past. Although the thing is, it's a double-edged sword. Because the fun part of the villains in the originals is that they are over the top and that they are campy and they chew the scenery. And then when you sort of take some of that away from those characters, they lose something of their original personalities. I will say in The Lion
Well, I
King,
think that's the translation from animation to putting something more on whatever the human element. You can
right,
do a lot. It's the same thing as going from a comic book to actually just putting human characters on screen. It's completely
right.
different. It's the reason why in Watchmen, at the end of Watchmen, they had a giant squid covering the earth. They wouldn't have put that in a movie because everybody would have said that would have looked ridiculous.
I think they're putting the squid back in the Watchmen show, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just saying things are easier to do on book and paper from animation to anything else. Sometimes the mediums just don't translate. I could understand why they would not sit there and have somebody that goes like this. Well, welcome to my lair. It would just look ridiculous.
The thing about it is,
Except in your world of soap operas, that would only fly. But generally speaking, most people would sit there and be like, yeah, that worked on Looney Tunes. That really doesn't work here.
except in The Lion King, they seem to have exchanged the personality of Scar and his gay sort of mannerisms with the personality of Timon. who now suddenly is played by a gay character and has gay affectations in his dialogue. I don't know if that's an accident or coincidence. I'm just saying.
I've watched these movies.
You haven't
I've
seen The Lion King
seen
live
I've
action.
seen The Little Mermaid. I've seen The Lion King. At no point are these gay coding that I sat there and go, this character looks like it's gay. I have not. I've been around you in your flamboyant days, okay?
Okay.
I can tell you right now, at any point in time, I have not called you up on the phone and be like, Bill, you know this Scar? He seems a little bit gay. Just Jafar, he's coming across a little bit light in the loafers. At no point in time have I done that. And if anybody of my sensitive nature, I would have seen this.
Okay.
I don't see it,
I
Bill. I
okay.
don't.
Well, it's there. Maybe not being gay, you don't see it as clearly as I do, but it's there. It's there just as sure as the hobbits are there. It's there.
Oh, the hobbits here. We're going back to the hobbits being gay again? Or is this what we're doing?
There's gay undertones in it, just as much as you thought there was gay undertones in Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's there.
When did I think there was undertones of it?
When they were
Oh,
okay,
oh
it's like
yeah,
it happens
yeah,
to me,
sure,
right?
or sure. When Mike Gyllenhaal, Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal's
Gyllenhaal.
character is looking at him, going like this. Yeah, hey, you know what? You could. Yeah, there was some undertone there for sure.
Okay. Anyway, I don't remember what that whole reason I even brought any of this up.
That they're trying to remove gay undertones. Is that what you're saying?
It was beyond that, but I've sort of lost.
Isn't there like some sort of spectrum that these things go on? Is it really a gay undertone that Jafar is sitting there walking around going, well, toodles?
Yes, there's Jafar is definitely modeled on some gay
But
stereotype.
you never noticed it until you read the
I
article.
No, I noticed it. I mean, I certainly noticed it. I mean, maybe not as much with Ursula because I'm not into lesbos, but definitely with Jafar and Scar for sure. Even if you want to go
Is there
beyond
any
that,
other villains? Any other villains besides these two of note?
I'm sure. I mean, I think that I forget what his name is, the villain of Pocahontas, who walks around with bows in his hair and a dog that's all like foofy, is very gay stereotypical. Um, Not as much in Tarzan, but I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, Hades from Hercules. Yeah, yeah. Not to mention, I mean, a lot of these movies, these Disney Renaissance movies, were written and
Isn't the
directed.
whole idea behind the evil character he's supposed to be? It's the same stereotypes we all trope in, though. It's the the hero with the strong jaw and the broad shoulders. It's the
Sure.
same thing we have any type of movie. What do you have? What's the Tom Cruise movie with the mummy? Tom Cruise plays the hero. Who's his sidekick? A guy that's not as strong as he is. That's a little bit of a goofball. Who's a nerd who always falls down a lot. Who's the love interest? A girl that just happens to be former Miss Beauty America or something else like that. Who happens to be single and available. Who happens to be on the same job as the hero. Isn't that the same tropes that they always have?
I'm telling
Lois
you,
Lane, whatever it is, Superman, Man of Steel. She just happens to be single and available, and Henry Cavill happens to be single and available. They make it broad chested and shoulders, and then you've got Jimmy Olsen, who happens to be young and not as muscular a build and a bit of a geek. Same tropes as always. What is the villain? The villain always has to be over the top. It's not somebody of Henry Cavill's character, of somebody that goes like this: I'm going to rescue these people. What does the villain do? He's always chewing the scenery, furrowed eyebrow, evil, frowning. Isn't it all the same?
there's a sarcastic wit to gay people, as I've experienced in my gay life, that is very present in some of these Disney villains, and that I recognize as patterns that I've seen in certain people throughout the years.
You think Ike Perlmutter is working in the animation department, secretly spiking the sauce?
I don't know if Ike Perlmutter has anything to do with it,
If you
but I
want
just
these
know that
villains to be evil, you need to add more gay to them.
I'm just telling you, when you translate some of them to the live action movies, and it's again, like I said, a double edged sword. You don't necessarily in today's environment want to think that gay people are portrayed in a certain stereotypical way. At the same time, some of the personality quirks and mannerisms that made the characters enjoyable in the first place are somehow lost when you take that away. It's a double edged sword. I get why they don't want to do it. I get it doesn't translate to real life as well, but then it also then becomes sort of dull. So,
Okay. I mean, when we see this, I mean, we're going to have the Eternals coming out here pretty soon on Marvel, and you're going to have your gay character. All right. I'm going to be looking at you going, let's going to see how this is going to play out. Because I can tell you what, I'm going to read them the riot act when they do something what I'm going to consider to be a stereotype. They
why
better
would you
write
read them
that
the riot act?
character as
I'm the one that would have the stake to be offended over.
well. No, I'm sorry, Bill. I'm all for diversity and representation for everyone. Unlike you, I just don't just deal with my own segment of the population here.
I love how you always
So
get in the digs and just keep talking through them like I don't hear them because I actually do, and I just choose to ignore them.
I'm
Just
just
so we're
saying,
clear.
I understand it. I'm more of the inclusive. I don't really. I represent the segment of going. I just rather them just write the character as opposed to thinking what they think. It's the same what I always told you from the beginning of the show with the writing on any type of movie or film or TV show. Just write the character and put a person in it. When you start thinking as to what a person should act like or what they should be doing, then you're getting into stereotypes and other prejudice and biases, which I find to be just weak minded. There's no need for that. I mean, I understand that some of these things, you can have a person that's gay, that's flamboyant, that's at the pride parade, that's wearing the assless chaps. Absolutely. You can have that. But imagine you also have another segment of the population that's about as straight laced as possible. So, I mean, are we going to dive always into the well-known trope, or are we going to sit there and maybe have some sort of expanded definition? I think over your summer break, you just saw Love Simon. Did you
I did.
find that it was a little bit out of the standard trope of gays?
Yes. Did that make it necessarily more enjoyable?
I didn't say
Wouldn't
it
use that
make
one.
it more enjoyable, but I'm just saying, was it something different? I mean, I think that's the whole point of the show, and in terms of not whether you enjoyed the movie, but the idea that it presented something different.
Yes. But see, I'm sort of hamstrung by saying, did the differences make it any better for me? And I don't know that it did. I understand it's different.
Okay.
It just didn't.
Did you want him to sit there and be doing two fingers and a snap throughout the movie? That would have been more enjoyable. Is that
No,
what you want for the Eternals? Do you want the Eternals character to come out opposite Angelina Jolie for your first major superhero gay character and do two snaps and a twist?
wow, and go three snaps in a Z formation, like the old, what do you call it?
And then go, girl, we need to go rescue some people. I'm just asking you. I'm serious with that. Is that what you want?
No, not necessarily.
What do you want what do you want personally? I'm asking you, what do you want personally then? What do you want?
I
What do you hope
want
that
there
the
to
gay
be.
male character in the Eternals is? You don't want the
I
two snaps. You enjoy stuff like that though.
I want them to do it where it's not an afterthought, but it doesn't
I
necessarily
don't know
have
what
to
that
be the.
means.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, they're talking and they just happen to mention the word gay or that they prefer the same sex as a sexual choice or persuasion, whatever you want to say. Um,
Okay.
but I also don't necessarily want them walking around in assless chaps or whatever you always refer to gay people as. Like, there's some definition that you've seen somewhere that you look through a dictionary, somebody has shown you a gay person with assless chaps, and this is what you associate all gay people with. It's always with you. It's always the assless chaps. Is like the
I'm
stereotype gay
going
person.
with the most stereotypical negative stereotype of the gay that I can come up with.
Okay.
Okay,
So where
that's
did you
why I
see?
go to
You
that.
see? Did someone force you to look at someone wearing assless chaps in a gay parade somewhere or something? But anyway, so what I want is there to be substantial identification of the person as gay, but I don't want it to be their whole personality. It's like I want
Right.
both
That's
things.
exactly right. Right. They overplay it. That's the problem with most things. They overplay it.
So, um, anyway, we have a lot of news that we haven't even touched on yet. We should probably start talking about it at some
Yeah,
point
that's
during the
fine.
show.
That's fine. I don't know why you're acting like you feel like I put you in the spotlight. I'm just
I'm
trying to
not.
figure things out. I grow from talking to you. Even though you're a Neanderthal, I try to grow, and then I deal with things, and then I wait.
Oh,
As with all things, I just have to wait for it to come out. I just have to wait because eventually there'll be something. There'll be a Fantastic Four. We have the Eternals coming out. You've got Anthony Mackie wearing the shield. At some point in time, with all things, you'll be as enlightened as me at one point. You're going to
okay.
be like this. I really hope that Tyrese gets that part for Batman. That'll probably be a decade down the road, but you're like this. I really hope that will be the case. I love the idea. Yeah,
It hasn't
okay.
worked in 44 years or 48 years, whatever. However the hell old I am. Can we talk about
Yeah, yeah.
the trailers? I'm excited to talk
What's
about
that?
some of these trailers. The trailers that came out, like the Watchmen trailer, the Witcher trailer that came out at San Diego
Oh,
Comic Con.
okay. That's fine. I was having fun with the deep conversation. I don't know if our fans that are driving in their car are going to be like, "Can we please just move on? I cannot
I
deal
think
with
they
it.
are, but okay.
It's too much MSN, CNN on
Yeah,
our
I think they
show. We need to get Van Jones on our show.
are.
That's what we need. We need to get him on the
So,
show."
what did you think of the Watchmen trailer?
What did I think of the Watchmen trailer?
Yeah. Are you
Well, it
excited
had
for
some
the
people of
show?
color up in there being the lead actors. That's what I saw there.
One thing
Hello
I've
to
been
Regina King.
I read a breakdown of it from Vanity Fair magazine. It was saying stuff like, if you look at certain screen grabs, there are certain things that point you in the direction that they're following the comic and not the movie. Like the squid thing that we talked about. I don't know how that's going to work. It seems ballsy. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't want to underestimate the intelligence of the viewing public of HBO, but the squid thing was the thing that I thought was probably the smartest thing to change from the movie, from the comic, and now they're putting it back. So it's kind of a quasi sequel to the comic, but not the movie. But I bet more people have seen the movie than have read the comic. So I don't really understand the logic of that, but I guess we'll see if it works in the show or not. Um, I don't know how I feel about the whole quasi sequel. This did not work for Superman Returns.
So you're
How do you?
saying? Go
It's
ahead.
it's sort of a sequel to the original comic, but they're using elements from the movie too, but not like the thing like the squid thing is directly from the comic. It wasn't in the movie. They changed it for the movie. So how do you feel about that aspect? Also, I guess they're going to have characters. It's a modern day, so I guess it's going to be some time since the original story has been told in this TV universe, and it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be up to date with 2019.
Um, uh, for it to be a quasi sequel, I don't have a problem with it. And I think it makes sense because technically that's the quickest way to make it connected to the Watchmen world, as opposed to having some sort of side world that you created with Watchmen influence.
Right.
So it makes sense for you to kind of make it a sequel, if you will. Bring the
Yeah, but
people
I
in
mean,
from
a
the old and
sequel
whatever
is
else.
fun. I mean, if they're making it a sequel, wouldn't it make more sense to make a sequel to something that more people have seen than have read? I mean, I know the comic is hugely popular as comics go, and I know that it's considered, a classic of the genre. But I bet you there's still probably more people that have seen that movie than have read that comic. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Okay, and
Um,
so you think it's a problem for the people to accept something that's already just fictional?
I think it's confusing to the general audience that you have sort of a sequel to sort of a book, but sort of a movie sequel. I don't know. Like I
I
said, I
think
don't think it worked
I
for
think with
America.
Watchmen, I think the audience that's coming in, I think there's probably somewhat of, if you're going to be watching a show, that you have to have something already been like pre-indoctrinated to it. Like I just
Like
don't
for
see somebody
example,
randomly turning on Watchmen and going, what is this and whatever else without having some sort of background to figure out.
well, see, for example, I'm trying to get my husband probably to watch the show with me, Watchmen. Okay,
Okay.
but I kind of feel like in order to watch the new show, he really needs to understand the established universe in general of what this is. So I was going to sit him down and have him watch the director's version of the movie with me. But then they're not taking the movie element of the nuclear threat of Dr. Manhattan. They're taking the thing that was in the comic with the squids. So if he watches the movie before the show, he's not going to understand where the squids are coming from because they took that out of the movie. You see what I'm saying? It's a little bit like, I don't know. Then I suppose in
I
the
haven't seen a trailer with squids in it.
I have there's squids. There's a photo of the squid from a screen grab from the trailer of a big squid in a courtroom. And then there's a bunch of squids falling out of the sky later on in the same trailer. So the squids are in there. Now, whether they use that as the reason why everything was exposed or not, like they did in the movie, I don't know. I mean, in the comic, I don't know. Um, but supposedly, from reading interviews with Damon Lindelof as well, that this is like a updated version of the Watchmen world, but they're also not going to have any internet and no cell phones. So I think that's a little weird too. I don't know. The whole thing seems a little wonky to me. I'm looking forward to it. The trailer did get me excited for it, but I just hope they get their mythology
I
down
feel
pat.
like that's a small potato thing that if you watch the movie and then all of a sudden that they change the whole nuclear thing to a squid, that the person has to get into it, that they're trying to go back with the classic book
Yeah, but
story
I'm going to have to
and
pause the
then
movie or pause the show and explain to my husband that what we saw in the movie was changed from the comic. You see what I'm saying? I shouldn't really necessarily have to do that in order for him to get into this show. But
yeah, but the thing about it is if you're into the show, then that won't be an issue. You'll continue on with it. It's not like somehow, once again, this is you talking to me about people that are wearing superhero tights and shooting eye beams from their face. It's the same reason as you looked at me when you have Thanos floating around in space. You're in a comic book world. It's ridiculous on its face. If you can't buy into it from that,
it's not about buying into it, it's about the changes within the universe itself. It's about their mythology being one thing and then changing to another thing for the series and the movie and then changing to another thing for the series. I just would prefer, it would be simpler for me in my life if I could just have one version of the fucking story. Either go with the comic version or go with the movie version, but sort of doing a little bit of both seems a little bit unnecessary and unnecessarily cumbersome for people who are into the mythology somewhat, but maybe not as much as to have read the comic. All right, Witcher trailer.
I think the bigger issue that I have, I think the bigger issue that I have is whether or not, going back to initially what you said at the beginning, is the show necessary? And with my past history, Damon Lindelof, and this is the problem I'm having with Star Wars in its current iteration, is making stories that sort of grow and advance what's already been established. And what I hope from Watchmen is that they give me something else that grows on to what's already happened. And what I don't want is callbacks. Like I don't want to have to get into the second episode and then they start dropping hits that all of a sudden that Rorschach was born here or something. I think at my point in time that I don't necessarily get all like jazzed up here because they drop a name from a character from earlier part in the movie. because then it seems to me that you're not really focused on advancing and telling me a story as opposed to sitting there going, hey, by the way, here's a character from the old show that you liked. And so this is my concern and fear, that we're just going to sit there and just pull out old things and recycle them. And that's what I don't want. You got to give me a new story. I may not like the story, but I don't want to have you to see regurgitate the same stuff over and over again. And I
I'm
think I think that's a possibility here with some of this stuff. I don't find it to be original, and I'm hoping that they prove me wrong. That's my
I'm glad
concern.
with
It looks
continuation.
good on its face. Watching the trailer looks good on its face. It seems interesting. It's got some things going on. There's no reason for me not to think that it might actually do something where the most time I think they fail in doing these things. So go
I
ahead.
think them making it a continuation versus a reboot was smart. I think adding on to the mythology and not overwriting the mythology is the preferred method I would have them go in. I just, they're messing with sort of hollowed ground here, so it's got to be solid in order for it to be considered valuable and an addition into the mythology versus, remix of the originals. So,
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think the sequel is to go. It's what is it? I just watched Hellboy here. Once again, you had two Hellboys with Ron Perlman, and then we essentially rebooted that and started all over again. And they told a different story than the first two. Now, I'm assuming there's some segment of the population that probably enjoyed it, but I hated the movie.
well, it made
And
$5, so I don't think a lot of people liked it.
okay, well, what I'm saying, there's always somebody that enjoys it. I mean, I enjoyed Warcraft, so I mean, I'm just giving respect to the people who did. I did not, and you know, the sequel, that's great. It makes sense. I'm cool with it, and I think I'm more apt nowadays to want more sequels. I think it's easier to reboot and then just kind of recast and just add some elements and then pawn it off as something original. And I think that's what they've been doing with Terminator over and over and over again. Is they're sitting there going, "Look at this. We're going back and we're bringing back Arnold Schwarzenegger." I mean, it's happened a million times, Bill.
Did we talk
At
about
some
the Terminator trailer on the last show?
No, we didn't.
Do we want to talk about it now?
Yeah, are you sure we didn't talk about it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. You said we didn't. I don't know. Maybe we did. It's been a while. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just say we're both sort of thumbs in the middle with this idea of
Well,
the
the
Terminator.
thumbs in the middle for me is the people behind the camera. So the concept and the direction, or the concept and what I can see in the trailer and the casting looks interesting to me, where I'll be there and watching it added to my queue. But like with the creator of Lost and the leftovers and whatever else, I find that a lot of these things kind of fade out. Like they start off strong, they lay a couple like good foundation for good couple episodes, but at the end they don't really have anything else to say. Like it's not well thought out to the end. I need some shit to be like Breaking Bad, where you're sitting there and this story is growing over time and you're going a certain direction. Like there's a point to it, as opposed to being like I wrote 3 or 4 episodes and we'll see where it goes and then create the shit as I go along. Anyway, moving on. What were you saying about the Terminator? So, what's your concern? My concern is the creative brains behind it.
My concern is that it doesn't necessarily look like that different from the other Terminator sequels that have been put out over the years.
Oh no, I was asking you about your wrapping up the Watchmen. What was your
Oh, my concern with the Watchmen?
yeah?
Is that the
Are you
question?
concerned or you're not concerned? Whatever. How do you want to?
I'm concerned that, like I said, that the story is going to be necessary and that it doesn't repeat the story that we've already seen, but offers something new for the mythology.
Isn't it amazing how that now? I think. Well, I'm ahead of you in growth in a lot of aspects, but generally speaking, where we're both at now is I've probably been more converted by you on this and using your phrasing, is telling me a story that I feel is necessary.
Right.
And nowadays with popular cinema, becoming less it's becoming more difficult to kind of find that on occasion. But go ahead.
So speaking of
You don't have
original,
I mean, is it really a concern with you? The fact is that you watched the original Watchmen and they were dealing with nuclear things, and now they're going with squids. Outside of your husband, are you saying you have outside of your preference, are you saying your mind won't jump the gap?
no, I'm saying it could. I wish I didn't have to. But again, I never read the comics, so I'm not married to that version of the story, and I don't necessarily understand how to make it. But I guess that's on the shows to show me how to make it seem relevant with the squids. I feel like maybe they're just doing it because it's okay now to be more faithful to the comics, no matter how outlandish it is, than it is to sort of maybe try to make it more appealing to a wider
I
audience.
don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I
Um,
don't. I think I'm always. I don't want to interrupt you and let you move on to the Terminator, but I always find it to be like, it's certain things can seem completely outlandish and don't work based on how the movie is set up. And other times you can sit there and have Thanos floating in space with a chair, and you're just like, no big deal.
right,
But depending on the other setting, something can just look ridiculous and not fit.
right.
And
On
so
paper, it sounds wonky, but
yeah,
maybe they'll make it
so
work. That's on the
right.
show, though.
That's on the show, right? And that's how they set it up. But for me, based on the trailer that I saw,
Right.
having a giant squid would seem kind of wonky for me.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem like that would fit, but
Right.
we'll see.
Um. So, what did you think of the Witcher trailer? Speaking of HBO, oh no, that's
Oh,
Netflix.
you didn't finish the Dark. Well, before we
Oh,
get there, you
the
didn't
Dark
finish
Fate.
the Terminator. Yeah, Dark Fate.
Um. I don't think, like I said, I don't think that there's anything in that trailer that we saw that they put out that makes me think it's going to be any better than the other sequels that have already done. And it doesn't make me think highly when we're back to doing like the Liquid Terminator. Um, it just looks like your standard generic Terminator sequel. I guess again, it's on the movie to make me think otherwise. But as the
No, I
trailer
don't
is
have
out,
I don't have anything to add. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Liquid Terminator, back to the, it seemed as though that trailer once again is a little bit of fan servicey.
yeah,
And the reaction that I'm supposed to be getting from Tim Miller is like when this is going down, and then the truck pulls up, and then Linda Hamilton gets out, um, with her rocket launcher. You're supposed to be like, oh shit, but it falls flat on me on so many different levels. And then the appearance of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the trailer. The thing about it is, I feel as though they've gone to the well so many times that any type of magic or punch that you had has faded. I mean, if this would have been the first time that Arnold's appeared, I'd have been like, well, that's pretty cool or whatever else. Or I don't know, but it seems as though I don't expect this movie to be a hit. I'm not excited about it. Um, I'm not going to say anything rude. You know what? I'm going to stop right there. I
no,
don't even.
we can't.
I'm not
It's
even.
not okay.
I'm not necessarily even a fan of the casting. The casting actually, from top to bottom, all of them just doesn't work for me on any level.
Even having
And
Linda Hamilton back.
no, it doesn't. I mean, to me, you could have maybe filmed the scene a little bit differently for me, but it just seemed as though you were expecting me to jump out of my chair when she got out. It's. I understand that Tim Miller did Deadpool, but that doesn't mean that somehow he's the next Steven Spielberg here. I just didn't find the setup or anything else like that to be original or that downright. Like it just brings me out of my seat. If you'd have told me that the Russos were doing it, they would have did that trailer 10 times better. So I'm just not buying what they're putting out at all from the casting, all of it. So
Speaking of the Russos, they're coming to Cleveland on August 20th. Are we going?
absolutely not.
You don't want to be a part of the We Love You 3000 tour?
Nope. all I need you to do is make the shit that I want you to make and keep making it. I mean, if they come to Cleveland, they have a chance of getting Aero Castro and being put somewhere locked and chained on a set just to make movies
Wow.
for the rest of their life. That's what I
Wow.
would do. None of this, let's go around and take fan questions from the people like you who would be like, so can you tell me what Captain America's shield is made out of?
Really?
I got no time for that, Bill. I got no time to be going up there giving fan service.
I
You
mean,
know what I do?
you love
You know how I
the
support the
Russo.
Russos? I support them by having you buy their Blu-rays. That's how I support them.
Okay. All right. So what about the Witcher trailer? What did you think of that? Because
You're not gonna.
go ahead.
I'm looking forward to The Witcher. I play the video game. I have not read the books. The story and the characters seem very interesting to me. It had some. It had some character and some uniqueness to it. I'm. I think this all hinges on Henry Cavill's performance,
And
and I
and
don't
his
know.
enormous shoulders, which are more than ample
Yeah.
to carry them.
Now I know Henry Cavill is a favorite for you, but I don't necessarily find him to be the most emotive person in the world. So I feel like there's a lot to carry for him, and so I have to wait and see it.
I got, I've got zero investment in the Witcher mythology. I don't know jack about it except for the pictures I've seen of Henry Cavill in a gray wig.
I can tell you right now, even if I didn't play the video game The Witcher, I'd still be watching the show.
Okay. Well, I can tell you now, probably for me, if Henry Cavill wasn't the starring role, I probably wouldn't. But from what I saw in the trailer, I got like a Conan vibe from it a little bit, maybe a little bit of Beastmastery, sort of um, wizards and warlocks kind of D&D thing, which, can be fun. So I don't think I saw anything in there that made me go, oh my God, that's going to be the first thing I watch that night when it comes out. But we'll put it in the queue for sure and see what it's like.
Is that something your husband would enjoy?
He'll give it a shot. He'll give anything a shot. He's like Mikey from the Kicks commercials.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't sure if that was still in his wheelhouse though. If it was,
Yeah. He's relatively easy to get to. Now, continuing to watch it might be an issue. If he doesn't like it, he won't want to watch it. So, but we'll try it. Based on that trailer, we'll try it.
yeah. All I find is that all they had to do is play The Witcher, and you just sit there. They play that song. Henry Cavill, his milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, "It's better than yours." That's what you. That's all you're doing is that's all you're playing as you're walking in there. You're like, "Yeah, Henry Cavill."
Yeah.
Where are you going, Henry? He's like, "I'm going camping." You're like, "Oof, I don't like camping, but if you're going, I'm going."
Okay. Fair enough. But if it was Henry Cavill reading, the dictionary, I'm not going to lie and say I wouldn't watch it. So, should we talk about the big thing that happened at San Diego
Yeah,
Comic Con?
I mean, with The Witcher, I mean, generally speaking, it really, for me, it's going to have to hinge on his performance, and and I don't have anything that to base that on, by the way. It's not like somehow there's been a
At least you're familiar with it with the game, and I don't know jack about it.
Yeah, but I don't really playing the game doesn't really,
Because I guess it was based on books, which were the game was based on.
Right. Yeah. And it tells the story, and I don't know if it's anything like it's the same thing like you said. It's like a D&D, Wizards, Warlocks. There's an overarching mythos and storyline and characters and interactions that seem to be consistent throughout all that, and that's fine. But you're just kind of going, this is, I guess I would say, the first time you would have a live action Witcher on television. So, he's going to be setting a foundation, and part of it is whether or not it's going to be a hit is going to be based on his performance.
Can it be the next Game of Thrones?
No, I don't see this show as being a Game of Thrones at all.
Okay.
No, I think Game of Thrones is completely different in terms of.
But can it be as good as just in the genre of fantasy?
No, I don't see that.
So San Diego Comic-Con, the big news there was that Marvel released their entire Phase 4 slate, which is kind of incredible. I mean, they've done this before with Phase 3, but it's been a while. And Marvel was really the only story at Comic Con this year. And boy, did they pull it out. I mean, regardless of how excited I am about the particular slate of what they're actually doing in the next phase, the fact that they announced 10 titles, five of the Disney Plus shows, and five films in theaters is kind of incredible. Um, and it was kind of the only big thing that happened at Comic Con this year because everybody else sort of like ran away. I don't know if Marvel scared them away or if they just didn't feel like it was going to be worthy of them to even bother. But let's just say Marvel walked away with Comic Con in their back pocket.
I feel like once again you're always a shield for Disney slash Marvel. That's what you are. I mean, I think you probably own more stock than Superfan Melissa sometimes.
Really? I mean, you don't think that
You're
announcing
like the perfect hype person. You know why you're going to be successful if we were to stop doing the show, is
uh
because they're going to hire you to sit there and sit at the microphone at Comic Con and be like this. Oh my God, I've never seen so many fans. They're just rabid for the material. And once again, Marvel is just hitting it out of the park. What did they bring us? They brought us talking doo doo. It's amazing. Only Marvel could have done such a thing like this. The people didn't expect it, but it's doo doo with a cape on it. I just can't wait. I can't wait. They always surprise me, and they never stop pulling things out. This is an exciting moment. In fact, I'm going to cry. Let's go to commercial. I mean, that's
name
what you do.
name another studio or major motion picture company that has the balls to walk out in Comic Con or on stage on any place and announce their next 10 movies or 10 TV shows or whatever that they're doing. We can't even get DC to commit to a Man of Steel 2. And we're already on Thor 4 over here at Marvel. Okay. So name me another company that can be so ballsy. I'm waiting.
Okay. Listen. I find it's always easy to be cock of the walk when you've made like $20 billion over the past decade.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So it's easy to sit there and go that you're in the chips. You've won. You've won a lot. So if you come out and a couple things fail, that's not going to stop the machine from rolling. Okay. Over at fucking DC, they don't have that type of cred. We all know this. So everything that they do, they can't. I mean, what have you learned with that? We've had the Dark Universe. What happened? The Mummy flopped. Dark Universe ended. They had a whole Vanity Fair spread of all these actors,
Right.
nameless actors, Russell Crowe and Harvey Bardem, all sitting around Tom Cruise in a picture, sitting there going like, Dark Universe, it's coming. First movie fails, it folds. DC, they can only have a few things before they sit there and say, we have to wrap it up. So it becomes embarrassing at this point to sit there and roll out and be like, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, only to sit there and be like, we have to change directions. It's just not good for them. Marvel, after making so much money and proving us wrong, me occasionally, on some of the success of their movies, now their movies are becoming automatically billion-dollar movies. Spider-Man, is it close to making $1 billion right now?
It just crossed a billion.
It just crossed over. Spider-Man Far From Home, which I find to be a lesser Spider-Man than the first one, and it would just be a weak ass entry to begin with, made $1 billion.
It's the most successful Spider-Man movie of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, which is mind-boggling to me because I think it's probably one of the. It's not the
Right.
worst, but it's certainly right up there for me. But whatever else, I bought my ticket to see the movie. But the thing about so they can do this. This is what their success has earned them the right and the balls to be able to sit there and go, these are our next movie or the next 4 to 5 years.
So let's go over just a quick glance of the slate that they announced. Starting in May 1st, 2020 is Black Widow. Fall of 2020
By the way, before you read that, I will point out, and I haven't been able to confirm it. I know Superfan Melissa sent us the article, which they said that Disney had acquired Marvel for like $4 billion,
right.
and they've now made in 2009 and since made 19 billion. I think you and I both agree that we thought it was a lot less than $4 billion.
That they paid
Uh,
for Marvel, yeah.
yeah, but I haven't been able to find anything to say otherwise, but
Right.
it seems to be the number that keeps popping up is 4 billion. Either
Well, I know
way,
that's what
they're
they
going to
paid for
continue to
Star
make their
Wars.
money over and over and over again from this show because I don't see somehow this stuff is going to go the way of the spaghetti western. It's got another at least 15, 20-year run in it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead with the slate of shows.
Black Widow is the first or the next theatrical movie coming from Marvel
Do you
Studios.
want to talk about them one at a time as you read them, or you just want to read off the list?
Let's go through the slate and then we can talk about which ones stick out for
Okay.
us. Black Widow, May 1st, 2020. Fall of 2020 is the first Disney Plus Marvel Studios produced television show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Then November 6th of 2020, The Eternals, which Angelina Jolie was announced as a cast member, and Richard Madden was announced as the lead male.
Don't act like Richard Madden is somehow Chris Hemsworth. Go ahead.
February 12th of 2021, Shang-Chi, and they announced, I forget the actor's name, but they announced the guy who's going to play Shang-Chi.
Shimmy Lou? Is it Shimmy Lou?
Yeah, that's
Shimmy
pretty
Lou?
close. And The Legend of the Ten Rings. So it looks like they're going to be bringing the original or the real Mandarin from Iron Man movies into that mythology. Spring of 2021 on Disney Plus is WandaVision, which looks like going to be the second Disney Plus show out. May 7th of 2021, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2. Spring of 2021, the Loki Disney Plus series, which is going to take place supposedly where Loki steals the Tesseract in Endgame. It creates a branch reality, and that's where the Loki show is going to take place. Summer of 2021, the animated What If show, which has most of the original cast members that played their parts in an animated show about like what would happen if, let's say, Jane becomes female Thor, which is also actually really happening. But okay, I'll move beyond that. Hawkeye is going to be on the Disney Plus network in fall of 2021, and then wrapping up on November 5th of 2021 with Thor 4, otherwise known as Thor: Love and Thunder, with Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, reprising her role or playing the female version of Thor. That's a lot.
I guess so.
Okay, comments on this slate or any things that stick
My
out to
overall
you?
comment when I look at this slate is I am not impressed. And in fact, I'm actually quite bored.
Wow, really? Even Falcon and the Winter Soldier doesn't have you excited?
I said overall, Bill.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say they're garbage. I just said overall.
Okay.
I mean,
Is there anything on here that
you think I'm going to sit here and throw a party over here for WandaVision? You think that's where I'm at?
I don't know. I guess not. Well,
Are you saying that they're all like A-listers, huh? You're saying that all these shows, everything they're dropping here is A+ for you.
I'm saying what is exciting to me about these Disney Plus shows in particular about this slate is not the individual titles that have got me like rocking my boat.
Let me guess what you're going to say, that they're all connected?
That they're all finally, supposedly, really connected. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a simpleton. That's all it takes for you. That's all it takes for you. I mean, continue.
I'm just saying, of all of these shows, the most exciting one to me, or between the movies and the shows, I would have to probably say is Falcon and the Winter Soldier for sure on the TV version or the TV side of things, and then Thor: Love and Thunder on the theatrical side of things.
You must be fucking joking.
I'm really not.
Okay. Oh, by the way, you didn't mention Blade, but whatever.
Well, yeah, well that's because we're going in then into the sort of unannounced dated movies, but that's in phase 5.
Yeah, okay, we'll get there. Okay, I feel like that should still be added, but whatever.
Okay, well, yeah, for sure, it should definitely be added. So, anyway, let's go ahead and include Blade.
So let me go with this here. This is my I'm gonna go over and give my 2 cents. All right, what do we have? Black Widow. Love Scarlett Johansson. Think she makes a great Black Widow. Don't know if I'm excited about some sort of prequel, essentially, right?
Yes, well, because she's dead, so.
Yeah, not as exciting for me. Connected in the sense of I'm getting some extra backstory. And the overall thing, I feel like these are one of those things that should be released somewhat on their platform as opposed to in the theater, because it's the same thing for me in my mind as you would say to me about like the Joker origin story. Is it connected to any other movies that they're bringing out? It's separate. Got it. Is this connected to the Suicide Squad? No, that's a different Joker. Is the Black Widow alive or not alive? No, this is a prequel. It just adds questions and confusions, and not that I'm smart enough that can't figure it out. I just don't know if it makes it somehow exciting for me. And it's Black Widow, so it's not a traditional. She's not. She doesn't have traditional superpowers. So
Right.
it's essentially a Lucy or Atomic Blonde thriller. What's the thing with Jennifer Lawrence? The movie she was just in, Red Sparrow.
Red
Red
Sparrow.
Sparrow. Yeah. Okay, I got it. She's a spy from Russia doing spy shit. Can be good, but I don't know if it's necessarily like holy shit. Um,
I'm not going to disagree with you on Black Widow. I think the major detractor for me, there's two. A, that it is a prequel, so whatever it affects, it will not affect the current version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because we're going backwards in time. And the character's now dead, so there's no future in it. And then the second of all is she's not powered, so she's basically got kick-ass spy skills, and it's
yeah,
less
nothing
exciting
wrong
than
with that. I mean, we all love Born Identity. I mean, well, I
it
do,
could
but
be good. I have my
those
doubts.
shows can be good. But in terms of like, you know, I don't know if I'm sitting there going, "This is a $2 billion movie, Black Widow." Like, I just. But once again, I've been proven wrong. But for myself, I just don't know if I'm jumping out of my seat when they're announcing it for me. Like, holy shit. And this
Agreed.
would be the same way if they announced like we're doing a Hawkeye spinoff. I would be the same way. Like, okay, well, at least Ant Man can change size and go from big to small. I'm going to be following around a guy that shoots a bow and arrow and is going to be talking about how much he loves his wife. I'm already bored. Um, Eternals. I'm sorry. See, I
Falcon and
want
the
to
Winter
separate
Soldier.
these out from movies from the TV shows because I feel like there's a difference in my mind. How do you want to do it? I'll let you do it.
I would say since
Want to go in order?
they were, yeah, I want to go in chronological order.
Okay, what's the next one?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus.
Listen, Anthony Mackie carrying the shield, Sebastian Shaw, which apparently nobody can recognize him and killing his own co-star Gwyneth Paltrow. She's
Wow,
met him like several times and she doesn't even know who the fuck she is. What disrespect that is.
it's
Anyway,
true.
so much for the Marvel family. Um, Maybe that's why he's not carrying the shield because nobody really knows who he is. Um, yeah, this will be the first show that has, I would consider, um,
A list.
I don't want to call him A-list. Sebastian Stan's not A-list. Big screen actors doing a TV show property on a current big hit property.
Right.
So I'm curious to how this will play out, and what will be the money that they put into it, and the story that they will tell, and what I will have used for reference will be the Netflix shows. So what I'm expecting them is to make it a big difference and blow it out of the water. And this will decide how I treat the other shows after that. Because I don't know right now, after Swamp Thing and some of these other shows that I watch, that I've tried, if I'm not in the first couple episodes or you start to do something that's wonky for me, I'm going to pull out. And I'm not going to treat the continuity as I've got to watch this as it's going to be like you telling me if you're not enjoying the story on the comic book, why do you continue reading it? And that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, but I think this is a real big test for them. I mean, this is the one that's first out of the gate for their platform. So go ahead.
One thing that confuses me about this is again at the end of Endgame, they passed the mantle of Steve Rogers, Captain America, along with the shield, on to Sam Wilson, and he is basically becoming the new Captain America. Why then is the show called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I'm confused about this. Maybe this is going to be the story of how he becomes Captain America, but it sort of seemed like that was done in Endgame. So I guess I hope that he doesn't just play the Falcon. I hope he does actually play Captain America in the series, and then that they move that Captain America into the films somewhere.
Well,
I want to see that.
isn't his costume a combination of his Falcon costume and Captain America's costume?
Yeah, but my understanding is that he's actually given the mantle Captain America. He's not called the Falcon. Once he takes on that shield and that costume, he becomes Captain America, at least for a time period. And I'm confused why then they just don't call the show Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But I guess that remains to be seen. I hope that they do have him transition
Do we
into
know
the
anything
actual
else? Is
Captain
he taking the
America.
super soldier serum? Do we know anything else?
No, we don't know anything about that. They're
I think
keeping that under
that
wraps.
question has to be answered because
Yeah,
once again, I
they have
mean,
8 episodes to answer it.
yeah, Captain America can give a shield to Jeremy Renner, but if he doesn't have the super soldier serum, then it's kind of like he's kind of human,
Right.
you
All right,
know.
Eternals.
Don't know enough about. Kind of curious. Once again, I feel like part of the casting I feel is always wonky with some of these things. And while Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, I'm cool with. The Eternals, I just don't know what direction they're going. I don't really know how this is all going to play into it. But like with the Guardians, I guess I have to take a wait and see approach.
It seems like this is their answer to the debacle of the Inhumans to me. And the Inhumans, basically, thing was that it was announced at the last version of this announcement thing with Phase 3 as part of the Phase 3 slate. And then they gave the rights to ABC. It became a series that is notoriously considered to be bad and was canceled after one short season, I think of maybe 8 episodes, maybe 10. And it seems like this is their maybe attempt to readdress that corner of the Marvel universe. Um, Angelina Jolie's exciting casting. I wanted her to be Wonder Woman for a while. I think she'd be cool in whatever part they give her. So I'm looking forward to the Eternals, but I don't know jack shit about it. So it's kind of tempered with, like you said, not knowing anything about the property.
Yeah, and this is also where they're introducing the first gay male white character.
Yeah, Richard Madden, I guess, is going to play
Yeah,
him.
it's once again, it's a very diverse cast for this. That's what
Yeah,
they seem to have gone for, whatever else like that, which I'm not actually making a comment on. It's an observation. Doesn't mean one thing or the other. I just don't, um, they also have Salma Hayek in this, don't they?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who she's playing.
You know how I am on some of these things with the casting. I'm not one for all these popular names. That's not necessarily a get for me. What's next?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
Any
I
comment?
think it's once again it's Disney's job and Marvel's job to somehow make me get invested in a character that I didn't know I wanted to get invested in. So
When you were reading comics in your Marvel
I had a few
years?
Shang-Chi books. I
Okay.
did.
Did you enjoy
I
them?
had one or two books. Yes.
Did you like the Mandarin character as they originally portrayed him in the comics?
I don't know if I like the character on the level of a Doctor Doom, and I don't think I really read Iron Man that much, being a quintessential villain of his.
Okay.
But he's like any other villain. He's got 10 rings with 10 powers.
Okay.
Shit's cool. Shit's cool. It can be cool. Um, there's no reason why it can't be cool. But once again, I mean,
Of everything on this slate,
part of it is, I guess it goes with anything else like that. It depends on how you present this stuff. Is this going to come across as a Enter the Dragon karate movie?
that's what it sounds like.
Or is it going to be, Enter the Dragon karate movie with some flair to it, modern day flair to it? You don't watch a lot of foreign movies over from Korea or Japan or China, and I do. And outside of Crazy Rich Asians, which had a comedic flair and everybody speaking English, those movies don't get a lot of play. We reboot those motherfuckers. We do what do we don't do what is it? Ringo, we do The Ring. We don't do
Oh,
Guon, we do The
right.
Grudge. We reboot all their movies and they just don't play over here. So I don't know. It's very but I can see why we're doing Shang-Chi, obviously, because of the Asian marketplace, as you would say to me. I mean, that's kind of
Of everything
clear.
on this slate, all 10 of these TVs and movie productions, Shang-Chi is probably my least anticipated. Um, just because, I mean, I'd even put it below What If, the What If animated show, just because I've never heard of Shang-Chi before they made it a Marvel Studios movie. I
But you
didn't know
never
there
heard
was
of
a.
Guardians of the Galaxy either.
That's true. But and if you would have asked me back in 2011 or whenever that was, I would have probably put that low on the totem pole.
Yeah,
So it's
I
not to
put
say
it
that
low
they
on the
can't.
totem pole. I put
They
it low on the totem pole.
Yeah, they can't pull. It's not that they can't pull it out, but I have no reference, no frame of reference for this, so I don't have any
Once
idea.
again, if you're this is my initial impression that I'm giving that if I was in a room and you came out to me and goes, for our next movie, we're going to be doing Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. I'm not going to be like this. What? I've
Right,
been waiting for this all my life. You're not going to get that reaction from me. Okay,
right.
I don't. I would have never said that for Guardians of the Galaxy either. You would have never got that reaction from me. If you had told me that you're going to be doing John Stewart Green Lantern, you might sit there and be like, "Oh shit," from me. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. John Stewart Green Lantern. You're not going to get that reaction from Shang Chi from me. So,
All
um,
right, WandaVision.
WandaVision. Oh, now I can tell you right now, I would put this might be at the low list. I'm going to put Shang-Chi above this shit.
Really?
I'm not a fan of the Scarlet Witch by any stretch of the imagination. I find not only is her acting weak, I find it's just like some sort of like basic ass character where all you got to do is just move your hands around and they put some CGI shit in there. I just find it to be weak all around. I'm not really interested in her as a character. She is completely, in my mind, one of the most white bread, boring ass people on earth.
Well, then
Okay. I
2021
can
is
see
really
why
not
her
going to be your
husband
year.
was Vision because she is about as stiff as he is.
Wow.
So that's perfect casting for both of them. I
So
like Vision.
2021 is going to be an interesting year for you because
I,
then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, starring Wanda,
yeah,
aka the Scarlet Witch, is going to be next.
I like I have books. I'm looking at a whole bunch of my comic book boxes. I've collected Scarlet Witch, the Vision story, because technically they're one of those old time romances. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
a classic romance in comic books. Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision.
Sure.
They had their own book. So I have an affinity for the characters and Paul Bettany as the Vision. I mean, it's kind of hard not to get that wrong with playing just essentially an android. Um, and Paul Bettany's got the look for that. I just don't. Her character, her presence is about as bad as the chick from Twilight. Who do I always put down?
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart in her earlier phase. I know she's trying to reinvent herself, but it's just boring for me. She just comes across as really having no type of presence for me. Like if she was in a room, all these other women would outshine her and she'd be like background noise. And I don't find I expect my characters to have a little bit more oomph. When you line up all the female Marvel characters, she is not really in the forefront for me as being like I can't wait to see her. I'll pick a million other characters I rather watch on screen, and some of them don't have superpowers before I see her. So, you know, can I grow to love her more or to enjoy her story or whatever else? Maybe this is an opportunity. But if we're going from Shang-Chi to WandaVision, which by the way is a stupid ass name,
I don't disagree
um,
with you. I imagine that. I don't
I mean,
understand why.
this is going to be their job to sell that. That show is going to be. You're going to have to do a lot to sell that to me because I don't know if I really. To me, it's part of it is I'm getting ahead of myself, Bill. I'm sorry. I don't want to drone on. I, part of it is it's like with Hawkeye. I don't know if I care enough about them, and I don't know if I find their powers to be that exciting or I care enough about them. I don't know if I really want to be watching a show where I'm dealing with Hawkeye and his family. It sounds boring to me. If you told me that Hawkeye was going to be going on an adventure, trying to rescue somebody and doing some heroic shit like that, I'm more interested in it. But I'm not interested in trying to find out his softer side of him raising his children. That doesn't interest me. Wanda, I guess if I have to sit here and have her romance Paul Bettany for 4 or 5 episodes, I don't know if I want that either. I hope they put these people on the run where they're actually having their romance, but they're doing something exciting. Does that make sense? What I'm
Can
saying?
it be if they had Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany read like See Jane Run? Could it be any more boring than the Netflix Daredevil version? I mean, I feel like there's only
Well,
one
well,
way to go here, and that's
okay,
up.
all right. If you're saying there's a spectrum, sure. Okay, I would hope that they would be ahead of that spectrum if we're going to put that there.
Yeah.
I hope.
I like Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda or the Scarlet Witch, and I like Paul Bettany as the Vision. What's more exciting to me than just the name WandaVision, though, is that during the announcement of Phase 4, they said that WandaVision will directly connect into the plot of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, in which Scarlet Witch will be a big part of that movie. So that's exciting. Linking up these characters that are not necessarily combined in the big Avengers movies is exciting to me. That's interesting. That shows different angles of the characters, different personality traits that we might be able to get to see, and just to see a cool team up is exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. Doctor Strange and WandaVision combo more than just WandaVision as a standalone. Um, then after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is Loki, which supposedly has Loki traveling to different
Do we,
periods of.
we didn't talk about Doctor Strange.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So what are
No, I
how
know
the
super fan Nadia is a fan of a few of these movies that are coming out here. Like Elizabeth Olsen. To me, this whole new phase that we're in, what phase 4 is that what
yeah
it's called?
yeah
This this phase 4 that we're in, I feel as though after Endgame, we lost a lot of like high quality, if you, for lack of a better term, A list, alphas.
okay
And right now, we're really, in my mind, dealing with the B team. We're dealing with the B team, and that's no insult. It's once again, not everybody can be Superman. Okay,
right
there's other characters outside of Superman. They're not all Superman. There's going to be a little bit of a letdown, and in my opinion, these characters aren't on that level. Like I didn't collect Doctor Strange books. I didn't collect. I did. Well, I do have Scarlet Witch and Vision, the 4 set book set. But generally speaking, these weren't the characters that had their own individual books that everybody was out there running to get. Shang-Chi, one of them. He did have his own book for a little while. These aren't necessarily the top lists of Marvel's 100 comic books that are out.
right.
So they're not at the Guardians level.
Well,
Guardians
Guardians
changed
weren't the
my mind
Guardians level until the Guardians
until
began.
it was. That's right. And so my general perception of it is like it's not. You're not giving me Superman. You're giving me Crypto, the Wonder Dog. Now I may love it, but I can't sit there and say that I'm going crazy for it, writing love letters to it because you're giving me Doctor Strange Part 2. Benedict Cumberbatch is not Chris Evans or Robert Downey. He's his own actor, but it's a different flavor. And while I love the cape and I love the circles, I didn't really care for Dormu at the end or that whole nonsense.
Dormammu.
Whatever. We'll see it. Okay. What do you think? You ready for
I
the
think
multiverse and the madness that
yeah.
ensues?
I'm
Aren't
most
they, didn't they
excited.
say that this is going to be a horror movie
Yeah,
too?
this is
Like it's going
supposed
to
to
be
be the first.
scary.
This is supposed to be the first scary Marvel Cinematic movie. So,
I don't
I'm.
buy that, Bill. It's going to be rated R.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. Tell me when
Well, I
they get
mean,
the Insidious
Poltergeist wasn't
director on
rated
there.
R, and that was scary as fuck. I still can't watch that movie.
What movie?
Poltergeist,
Yeah.
PG-13.
Okay. Yeah, when they get the people from Poltergeist or Insidious to do it, okay, I'll believe them. But otherwise, but go ahead.
The most exciting part about this to me is, I'm not a super huge fan of the original Doctor Strange movie. It's okay, but it's not one of my favorites in the MCU. But the idea of the multiverse and exploring the multiverse as we did in Ant-Man and in Avengers Endgame, that's exciting. So the idea that they're somehow going to expand on that multiverse concept, seems like it could be interesting. Um, I that's about as much as I can say about that because I'm not a huge fan of Doctor Strange 1. But
Okay.
again, the fact that they're putting Scarlet Witch in there and doing a team up, that's kind of cool too. Um,
Um, the next movie is Loki.
the next show, yes.
I don't know what to say about it.
Well, he's certainly one of the most popular characters, villain or good guys in the MCU.
Well, that's fine. He's not popular with me.
Really? You
So
don't
if
like
we're
Loki?
at no, because it's become too much of a I don't know, like a comedic villain, if you will.
Again,
Uh,
this is going to have to be taking place with a character that's established as dead in the MCU. So it's another prequel or alternate
what are you talking
timeline.
about? Didn't he escape with the
Yeah, from
stone?
Endgame. Right, but that creates a branch reality when he escaped. So that's not
So we're
necessarily
not
the real.
exploring that branch reality with him?
No, we are exploring that branch reality with him.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so, but again, in the universe proper, in the 616 or whatever you want to call it, he's dead.
Yeah, this is once again why do I care about a villain?
I care about Loki because he's not just a villain. He's sort of an anti hero and a villain. He's done some cool shit, some good shit, but he's also done some bad shit. So he's one of those gray characters for me that I could see a show being centered around because he's sort of a bad guy, but not
Yeah,
all a
you
bad
didn't give
guy.
Dexter a chance. Dexter's the same thing. He's doing good things, but then he's also killing criminals.
Yeah, he's a serial killer. I don't know if Loki's
He's
ever.
killing criminals, though. I mean,
I
Loki's
understand.
doing.
It's still creepy.
Do we forget the crimes that Loki commits?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, the reason why we forget the crimes is because he'll sit there and he'll do something that's funny, and so therefore we're like, oh, he's cool. And then he's going to do something else like, well, I'm going to try to destroy this world. But wait, I put some sort of like, I put some pepper in your sugar. Ah. Yeah, I don't know if I really am as fascinated with everybody else with this character, you know. And the fact is that last time he was what in Thor, Takiti,
Thor Ragnarok.
yeah, it was all a little bit of fun and games, and I liked it better in Endgame where he was still being the trickster god, and then they were trying to make him have more of a heart, a little bit.
Right.
But the iteration that they're going to have, I feel like it's like Thor. I want the character to be more fun. Is he a villain or not? You're trying to make him gray. I just don't know if I really care that much about his adventures. I don't. What's his motivation? What is he trying to do? Is he trying to do anything that I care about, or is he just trying to be in it for himself? I
Well,
don't know. I don't know his story. Once again, you're asking me like what you would say about a villain. What is your job? I'm going to follow you because I want to destroy the world and have all the gold for myself. I don't know if I want to watch Loki do that.
the
Is Loki going to
concept
find romance? I don't know if I care, Bill. I just don't
the
know if I care.
concept of the show is that Loki travels through different eras of time with the Tesseract and creates I
Havoc.
don't know, yeah, creates havoc with the history that we know.
Don't give a shit. That
Okay.
you've already told me I don't give a shit. So he's sitting there going like, I'm going to dress up as President Lincoln. Instead of doing this, I'm going to do this. He's a trickster god. I don't find that shit to be funny at all. I don't find it to be
Okay.
interesting. He's going to go and do all sorts of stuff. He's going to show up at Bill's house, and instead of giving you your sick day off of tomorrow, he's going to change it to Friday. He's a trickster god.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to Loki as a show. It's probably one of the ones that I look forward to most out of the slate that we have here. Um, so yeah, I think Tom Hiddleston's kind of fun to watch and interesting concept. We'll see what happens. What if is next?
Animated.
Animated with the
I
original.
just hope they just put it on Netflix, and then I can put it right after Into
It's
the
on.
Spider Verse.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, like I
Um,
said, I hope they put it on Netflix, or they put it on my Disney Plus account, which will have your username and password in there, and then I'll watch it. Otherwise, as with anything else, I don't watch as much animation as I used to
mhm.
because I feel like the stories as well as the animation have gone downhill.
Really?
Yes. I mean, obviously the Spider Verse. I agree with Superfan Nadia. I can watch that shit over and over. It's so good, from the music to the characters, to everything about it. It's just funny and enjoyable on a whole nother level. If
I
you're gonna
just
tell
don't
me,
get what I'm missing with this movie. Everyone praises this movie like all up and down the aisle, and I just don't get it.
yeah, you don't really get pulp culture too much. You're very dense. You're really like old man off my lawn shaking his hand at the sky when somebody does a joke. Like, you're like,
I
these newfangled teenagers are making jokes about iPhones and doing high fives. We didn't do high fives. We shook hands like men back in the day. This whole, what is this jive turkey stuff they're doing over here?
jive
That's what it
turkey.
is for you to like.
Yes, stewardess, I speak jive.
Yeah,
Um,
you're very tight. You got your button all the way tightened to the top. That's where you're at. Right
I'm the one that usually likes the fun and the adventure and all of that of superhero movies. This
No, you
movie
like
just-
buffoonery fun. You like the fun that's kind of like on like it's not the same.
Okay.
You're not cool fun because I think probably it has to probably stem from your upbringing or your
Really.
or high
So
school
we're
or
gonna get
whatever
into a
else.
psychological examination of why I don't like certain types of movies based on my
I
childhood.
mean, it's very
experiences.
consistent. You're not into The Simpsons. You're not into South Park. You're not into Family Guy.
I
And a
don't think
lot
it's
of that,
funny.
yes, and a lot of that humor is sort of you can say in a ways carries over to that. That's just
Maybe.
not you. What's your favorite like animated shows on television?
I don't watch any animated shows on
Yeah,
television.
maybe that's the problem. There you go. So, if
all
you're
right.
going to tell me it's going to be like Spider-Verse, I'm going to be excited. I mean, it's an animation thing. So, I mean, I don't really go to the movies for animation. So
Well, right.
it's not one of those things that, I mean,
But
we
it's
went
not
and
a
saw
movie, it's a
Spider-Man
Disney
into
Plus
the
show.
Spider-Verse. I mean, we'll obviously go see it, but generally speaking, I don't.
It's
I
not
don't
a-
want to act like a jerk because that's not true. Because there's The Incredibles. It's a higher level for this list of movies than Loki, WandaVision. It's above those two. I can say that.
I will watch it.
I actually wish the What If was actually not animated. I think that would be the bee's knees for me.
Right.
So,
All right. Hawkeye's the next show. So it looks like we're gonna get 3 shows before another movie.
oh, okay, Bill. I'm sorry. WandaVision, Loki, and then Hawkeye. The only thing that's interesting about Hawkeye for me is that they might be introducing another superhero character out of that.
What is that?
Okay.
Kate Bishop?
What's that?
Is that Kate Bishop?
Yeah, which I don't really know much, but obviously, if that's going to make the little girls happy that there's another girl shooting bows and arrows, that's fine. I don't really care. She's probably about as exciting as her dad. Um, I mean, once again, I find this phase to be like, here's the level of Hall. What is this? Hall H.
Yes.
Here they go like this. We're going to be doing on Disney Plus some TV shows, unlike Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. We've got Loki, WandaVision, and Hawkeye. Okay. And Hall H with you going over there on your little script and your little podium going like this. Holy shit. I can't believe it. They're all connected. I'm so excited. This is a great day. Marvel does it again. DC, pay attention. Okay. In Hall I, right next door, they're going like this. We're going to be giving you Wolverine, Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom. Can you not hear the roar of the crowd over there? X-Men, Storm, Cyclops, Magneto.
Some of
I'm
those
sorry.
properties were announced for Phase 5, but okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying these characters right now, I feel like this is like the middle area right here. We're in the friend zone. Okay,
Wow.
this is
I
where
don't
we're at.
disagree with you. This as a
We're back in the friend zone where I'm like, hey, it's cool. We can go out. We can go to the movies and have some dinner or something else like that. But I ain't marrying your ass. Okay, I got another chick coming over here in Phase 5 that looks like I want to get with her.
wow.
That's what's going on. You're gonna hold it down. My real chick is somewhere like I don't know. She's out of the country on like summer leave or something else like that. So my side piece right now is Phase 4. That's what's holding me over. It's my side piece, Bill.
So you're saying this entire slate is filler? That's basically what you're saying.
It's a placeholder. I mean, are you really expecting me to sit there and you think I'm supposed to be like jumping up and down, going, "I'm going to leave work early, Bill, so I can get down there so we can see the premiere of Hawkeye"? Really?
No,
I
and
mean,
that's
that's my opinion. I mean, you may feel differently, and I have to respect that. I mean, are you?
I'm not going to even go near the fact that you are saying the entire slate is filler. I am going to say, as a slate, this was less than exciting for me. Sure.
The
Um,
biggest excitement, if I'm speaking for you, is the fact that unlike Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what Marvel has actually decided to do is to make sure that these TV shows with their top flight actors now will still somehow maintain a connection with the movies and keep that synergy. So we're
yeah,
just not watching the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and not getting something out of it. Or, if Falcon ends up getting a broken hand, that might carry over into the movie, or if Scarlet Witch does something, then that carries over into Doctor Strange movie. Like they continue to build up between, like what all it does is continue the story. So it requires you, which is obviously business model and economics, is if you're telling a long story and you want everybody to keep interested in, then you should need to connect it up. So after I watch, which this is the problem with Black Widow, but after I watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we move into what, the Eternals,
yes,
and then from the Eternals into the WandaVision. I don't know how they're all going to intersect. I don't. Is the Eternals supposed to be taking place right after Endgame?
right. I don't know.
Do we ever know?
No, we don't.
Right. That's a confusing part in and of itself as to where do they fit in the whole. Where
But
do they fit in? But the whole idea is that they're connected, and I think that's an enjoyment, and I respect that, and I would hope that they would be. I just don't know
they
that the
should have done
characters
it
that they're
from the start.
connecting in are somehow like. Once again, I think there's a huge difference between Superman and Batman and Cheetah and Manta. Okay, there's differences, and by no stretch of the imagination is somehow Hawkeye is as popular as Spider-Man.
I don't
So,
disagree with you. I'm not going to say that
and
this is
it's no
filler.
disrespect. I'm just saying it's no disrespect, but I just don't know the reaction that I mean, if you're gauging my reaction on it, I'll be watching it, but I don't know if I'm sitting there. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Fantastic Four and X-Men. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, that's going to be a while because this slate goes through 2021.
Right. Right.
Um,
So I'll be calling Phase 4 at midnight on Friday and be like, "Do you want to come over for a little, tete-a-tete? But I want you to leave by 2 o'clock." That's what it's going to happen. I want you to leave by 2. I don't want you to stay the night. Like, I'm gonna. WandaVision is going to be like, "Can I stay the night?" I'm like, "No, no, no. I got to go to work in the morning, babe. Okay, I got to go to work." That's what's going to
wow.
happen. She's like, "You never take me out on Fridays. All you do is call me over to your house. You never take me out to dinner, and you never take me to your friends." I'll be like, "Yeah, yeah. They're all busy." That's exactly what that's the way I'm going to treat this whole thing right here, as booty calls. That's
Wow.
it.
Well, we
And
didn't even
then,
get to the biggest booty call of all then, which is Thor Love and Thunder, which I know you're excited about.
oh, we didn't leave it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right.
Thor Love and Thunder is the final phase 4 film coming out November 5th, 2021. You know what's exciting to me too, Mike? Just a little extra side note here. By the
Go ahead.
time we
Go
get
ahead.
to Thor Love and Thunder, I'll only have like 5 years left to work for retirement. Anyway, let's just go on.
What?
Yeah. Well, 6. So.
I can't have your ass be retired. I can't.
Oh,
I
it's so
can't.
gonna happen.
I
It's gonna
can't.
happen.
You're gonna be obnoxious and it's gonna be ridiculous. I'm gonna call you at 11 o'clock and you're gonna be like, "What time is it? What day of the week is it? Is it Tuesday? Is it Tuesday?"
That's
I can't.
right.
You're gonna be like Morpheus. I don't deal with time. Time is relative.
That's funny. All right, so tell us all your thunder for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay, so they're going to be doing Thor. They're going to be bringing back. Okay, there's a couple of things in this. Takiti Wahidi is back again.
Taika
Uh,
Waititi is certainly
yeah,
back.
yeah, whatever. Titty Witty. Okay, listen, not a fan. Not a fan. We all know
We
this.
know.
And we're going to be having Valkyrie. Now she's going to be full on coming out, and she's going to be a queen, and she's going to be looking for another queen. to bed with.
Full
Okay?
on lesbian.
Yes, that's fine. Don't care less. Um, the big thing for me on this here is I don't care for the director's style and or humor. And while that may have seemed to be exciting for most people with a change of direction, I don't know what it is. Part of this is I feel like there's some sort of like Fox News hypnotism here because whatever Marvel is putting out there in the pixels, subliminal or not, I just don't find it. This is the same thing with you would say with Spider Verse. I
Sure.
don't get it. I don't find it to be funny. I don't really care for the direction of it. But obviously, it's made some money, and so he gets Love and Thunder. Not a fan whatsoever.
I
Fan of
have to
Chris
say,
Hemsworth. And the other thing is now that we're going to be exploring this thing with Jane Foster as becoming the female Thor, which has some sort of basis,
in the
obviously,
comic,
in the comic books.
right?
But the thing about it is, I spilt this to you. I'm sure somewhere Superfan Melissa's pulling her hair out because I'm going to give my Channing Tatum hate has now moved on to Natalie Portman, um, and where she has the picture in Comic Con where she's holding the hammer.
Yeah.
She, okay, this sounds rude, and
I can't wait
what?
till Melissa tears you a new one for this. Go ahead.
Listen, there are certain actresses as well as actors that should be able to make me feel and believe that they can actually play the part that they're playing.
She was
Eh,
standing there in a mini dress. How much can she do?
I said decade ago, whatever it was, how long ago, when Natalie Portman was in Attack of the Clones and Star Wars, where they had a scene briefly for like 5 seconds where she's running across the desert. She has zero athletic ability. There is nothing in her that buys me that she could catch a football, that she could do a dance, that she can do anything that remotely believes that she can do something physical whatsoever. And the way she's holding the hammer looks like it's something that you would give to a 4-year old and they're trying to hold. Like they just don't have the strength to hold it. Like they're just uncoordinated. But she's like this, I'm going to be the female Thor. Hey. Okay. She looks good on the eyes. That's why she's there. But in terms of being there, it's the same problem I had with Halle Berry as Storm. I would have preferred Angela Bassett. These certain women, Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, Gal Gadot, they have the ability to act and like what's her name? Daisy Ridley from Force Awakens. I all buy them and their abilities to play heroes and that they can kick ass. I don't buy Natalie Portman. I don't care to see her as a female Thor. I feel it to be weak, and I'm not one of those comic book geeks that's been pandering for female Thor. But once again, I don't understand this whole thing. I'm not on this train. I don't really need to see a female Thor. Why don't you just give me more Thor? I'm not. I don't care. Am I supposed to sit there? I mean, this is like Supergirl for you. Do you care that they? Why are they not giving you Man of Steel, Bell? They're giving you Supergirl. Do you really care about Supergirl? Are we even doing Supergirl comic books? Fuck the representation. I'm asking you. I
No,
mean,
I
you
don't
want
care.
female. What's wrong with regular Thor?
I don't know why they chose to
Uh,
bring Natalie
I
Portman
mean, why do
back.
I care? Why do I care about Natalie Portman as female Thor? This is not cool to me.
I
This is
understand.
I could give a shit less. I mean, I'm not saying you can't have a female Thor and you can do the storyline, but if you're asking me if I'm interested in Natalie Portman, I can find a million other characters I could like go down the path with. This is not going to be at the top of my list. This is like them doing Squirrel Girl for me. I don't give a shit. How about we just go back and do some regular characters and some badass shit instead of doing something like, "Hey, look what we're doing. It's cool." It's spare me the nonsense. I'm not
Okay.
cheering in Hall H for you giving me female Thor and acting like this is a big deal to me. Why don't you just tell me a quintessential Thor story where he's kicking some ass and spinning the hammer around like Chris Evans did? How about you give me that? And once again, this is my whole thing here with Takeda Wahidi. We're going down a path of humor and joking. And why don't you just tell me a good quality Thor story where he's whooping some ass with his powers, as opposed to him sitting there going like, I'm making some jokes and trying to travel the universe and do some like, side adventures and drink blue rum. Bill, we're getting away from what I'm here for a superhero movie here is. I'm not here for The Office in space. Okay. I'm not here for it. It's just weak. It's just weak. Love and Thunder sounds like a comedy routine and a lot of fun.
I love the title. I
Wonderful.
think it sounds like Flash Gordon-y as fuck. Um,
Oh,
I also
I
like
got
the
your Flash Gordon right here. Okay.
I oh wow. I also like Natalie Portman in the role of Jane Foster, and I'm excited for her return to the MCU after we've been led to believe that she was kind of done with this part and it wasn't going to happen anymore. I like her and Thor as a couple. I think if they get together and there's a male and a female Thor, again, we're into the team up area that I like. So I hope we do get like Thor and her teaming up, and maybe some kind of like Pepper Potts Tony Stark kind of relationship would be fun.
Yeah,
I'm all
sure. That
for it.
sounds like a lot of fun. I love it when Natalie Portman's going to be like this. Thor, it's my time to use the hammer. I'm going to throw Mjolnir over there and kill the giants. And he's going to be like, listen, babe, we need you to get you another hammer. But there's not enough hammer. Oh, here's another hammer. She's like, hee. Love and Thunder.
Well, don't forget there are two hammers now, so they
Yeah.
can each have one.
Color me unimpressed and uninterested. When is phase 4 over? What year? What month?
2021.
Oh, please, Lord, let me live long enough to get past this.
Really. All right, so
Oh,
let's talk about what you will be excited about because it's not
oh,
part of phase
oh,
4.
let me finish. Taiki Waititi. He's got some other trailer out called Jojo Rabbit. Did you see this trailer?
I did because I went to see something the other day. Maybe it was Once Upon a Time and it was in there.
I didn't really, I'm just not a fan of his latest shit at all. But I did watch the trailer for it, and I did somewhat crack a smile a little bit. So I'm actually going to be putting that in my queue.
So strange.
Um, what's that?
That's so strange. Like you don't like his style, but you like some of his mannerisms or stuff that he does.
No, I think once again, see, this is the superhero realm is a different realm for me, and part of it is I think, I think the Russos and Brian Singer to a degree have hit it as to what I think you should be doing in a movie. Old Brian Singer, not Apocalypse Brian Singer. Um, it's what I think these movies should be focused on, in my opinion. And part of it is I feel as though you get into this realm of like Deadpool to where you're just having fun and you're doing jokes. And it's kind of like that's not the story that I'm reading. When I want to do Crisis on Infinity Earth, I'm not looking for you to sit there and go, I got Jim Carrey to come in and we're going to yuck it up and have it a good time. I want to see a superhero story and you tell it and have it be dramatic and whatever else. And you can have humor in it, but it seems like this is more geared towards comedy hour than the heroics. It's more comedy with a little bit of a hero doing some hero stuff as opposed to the hero just being maybe naturally funny or writing the script that comes across as organic humor. That we're moving into Batman and Robin. Let's just bring in a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of parts and do a whole bunch of jokes. That's what I feel like
I
what we're
think you
doing.
exaggerate. I don't think it's anywhere near Batman and Robin level
No,
comedy
but
for
that's
them
what it's
there.
heading towards with this Love and Thunder. I mean, when you got
Okay.
a robot shitting out robot eggs, I mean, come on, Bill, really? That's where we're at with Thor Ragnarok. Oh, look, I think I shit out some robot eggs. Somebody's gonna have to clean that up, Gleep. Oh, what am I supposed to do with that? Really?
Well,
I'm supposed to
if
laugh
you're
at
Thor
that?
Ragnarok, you
That
make
that
$1
that's
billion
a
with it.
that's a good time. That's a good time. Don't run to money. Don't run to money on this. Okay, that's a good time.
Um, okay, so well, money perfectly gives you an example of why he's been brought back because
I understand the money aspect of it. There's no reason I understand exactly the money and the economics
then
of
you
what
know
they're
why he
doing.
was
While we
brought
have
back.
Shang-Chi, I'm telling you, I don't like it, Bill.
I understand. I'm just saying you understand from their perspective as a company, it's the most successful Thor movie, Ragnarok, that there was. So
I don't give a
why
shit.
wouldn't they continue with that?
It's coming at a time where this is hitting the apex of their movies. First of all, okay, it's like their third movies within their series. Actually, this is actually breaking the mold by going a 4 Thor movie. But
Right.
generally speaking, these movies have been making more and more money as each one builds upon the other. So the fact that the Thor Ragnarok movie made more than the other two, it's also one of those things is like these were also the first movies. It's like the last Harry Potter has made more than the first Harry Potter movie because it's built up and it gets more exciting as you go along. So it has the luxury of coming at the end as opposed to being somewhat quote the best of the bunch. You know, I think that's just the I don't know what you call it, a misrepresentation
So
or
let's talk about what you would be excited for as far as the
oh,
phases, because phase
I'm
4
so disgusted.
with Blade.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, so they didn't announce. Here's what's interesting about phase 4. They didn't announce certain things that you would have expected them to announce. Guardians 3, Black Panther 2. But they did announce something that came like out of nowhere, which people weren't expecting, I think, and that's Mahershala Ali's casting as a rebooted version of Blade to be set in phase 5. What do you think?
Well, I think what was cool was Wesley Snipes responded to it and gave a whole thumbs up and said, "Chill, I'm all right. That's pretty good. Good actor, whatever else like that." Um, I think Wesley Snipes was a hell of a Blade, and Blade 1 and 2 are, I think, some of the best superhero movies out there, underrated. Um, and the fact that they would bring back the Blade character with Marshall Ali, I don't think there's that's what I would call good casting. I don't mind that casting. So you've got a cool character and you've got a cool actor. What more can you say? The question now is then how does he fit into this world? Because I remember the Blade movies and those movies were rated R. Okay.
Sure.
And so now is how are you going to play that in this current world where you have Love and Thunder going on over here with people robots shitting out eggs? Okay. With your
You
Flash Gordon.
also have
Guy.
Endgame and
Well,
Infinity War.
we don't have the Russos now. Okay. So we're going to have a whole bunch of other people come in and, you know, their visions, who knows what those visions are going to look like or how that's going to play out. So I don't know what the landscape is going to be going forward, to be quite honest with you, Bill. Who's the big dog?
Well, I don't think that that's established yet. I think we're sort of starting back a little bit from
I don't know
scratch.
how it's going to play out. I don't know. But Blade in and of itself is a different type of property. So, and who's going to be leading that ship and adding that deft hand and how that's going to connect up? Those are questions I have. But if you're asking me in terms of what's exciting, sure, sure. I would say that the unannounced property is more of interest to me than the announced properties.
Ouch. Um,
No offense. I mean, Eternals actually can be quite good. I mean, they could bring out an Eternals trailer that might just blow my socks off. Are the Eternals supposed to have powers like the Inhumans? Like they all have different things? They
I
can,
think
yeah,
so, but I'm not
yeah,
entirely sure.
you could blow my socks off with doing something in their first trailer. So I don't know. But right now, Blade. What's the other unannounced? Is there another unannounced?
They have dates, but
What do you think of Blade? I'm sorry.
I think it's cool. I think it was certainly a property that's ripe for a reboot because if you think about it, Blade, the original Blade, is 22 years old now.
Wow.
So that came out in '97, and we're in 2019, so it's been quite some time. Um,
Have the Blade TV show, which actually
well, do we
I
count that?
watched. I watched that show with Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, we don't count anything with sticky fingers. Doesn't get counted.
And the
Uh,
show, actually, the storyline and the plot, it was actually very good. The villain
yeah,
was good. The direction was good. It was
you know
just
what
that
wasn't good? The
what's
rating.
that?
That wasn't good.
Well, the ratings
No.
weren't good because Sticky Fingers couldn't act, and he was terrible as Blade. I think that's you
You
gotta
gotta have
have
a
a
good lead.
yeah, you gotta have a good lead, and having a rapper. I forgot what rap group he was from. Was not good. But anyway, I'm sorry, Bill. I interrupted you. Continue.
But so anyway, the other unannounced properties were, Black Panther 2. So they don't have dates yet, and they don't have a place in Phase 5 yet, but they're certainly coming. Guardians 3, and of course the big two that they acquired on the Fox transition, X-Men and Fantastic Four. So there's actually some exciting stuff to look forward to beyond even Phase 4, since we both established that Phase 4 is not the most exciting, thrilling phase announcement we've ever been through, for sure, as a whole. I won't go so far as to say, like you did, that it's just filler, because that's harsh. But
Well, I mean, once again, my mind can be changed.
right,
But if
I
you're,
bet Thor: Love and Thunder is
I guess this is like a temperature read for me. If you're taking my temperature, I'm just like in the middle of the road. That's
right,
where my temperature is. So
right.
my temperature can rise or go up or down depending on what happens next over the next few years here. So, I mean, I would like to go into a movie and enjoy myself, as you would say. I'm not trying to go in and be like this is going to be disappointing.
So, on the same avenue, but moving out of the San Diego Comic Con announcements, we've covered pretty much all of those. We saw a Marvel movie this summer, Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Far From Home. That's another one that wasn't announced as far as Phase 4, the third Spider-Man movie. And we know there'll be one if they can arrange it with Sony, because it's the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all Spider-Man movies. So, what do we think of, or how do we feel about Spider-Man Far From Home?
I know how you felt about it at the beginning, but you've changed.
I
Um,
didn't love it, and I still don't love it. I liked it.
I think for myself is it's gotten a lot of accolades
Sure.
and a lot of high ratings and a lot of um, hyperbole of being the best Spider-Man movie out there. I found it to be anything but that. We went back and watched Spider-Man. What was it? Homecoming.
Correct.
And after we saw Spider-Man Far From Home, and I enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming. I enjoy Michael Keaton as the Vulture because I think Michael Keaton is just a hell of an actor, and when he wants to play a villain, I just find him to he's just good. I
Sure.
like Michael Keaton, and so he's great in that role, and I think it's a great setup, and it's just cool in a lot of different ways. And then after watching Homecoming and then watching Far From Home, I felt that Far From Home was just a lesser outing altogether compared to the first one. And it just didn't really, I mean, obviously it did some things, spoiler alert, like where he reveals his identity at the end. But I felt that all the other stuff, and then there's some romance between him and Mary Jane. That part there is kind of cool, but everything else, the villain and all the other filler, and I just don't know if it really adds that much to me. And I think what I said to you at the beginning, because now it's coming back to me, I would have probably enjoyed just watching Tom Holland romance MJ and have fun with the other students on their adventure in Europe. It would have been like a John Hughes film of 16 Candles or European Vacation, and I would have enjoyed that. The fact that it was supposed to be a superhero movie and with all these other villains, I felt like that was woefully underwhelming. And especially when you had the big battle at the end with all the robot cameras zipping around and explosions. It was just a lot of noise. It was just a lot of noise. And it felt like the first Transformers movie that you just can't really make out shit. It's really not going anywhere. There's not any cool, iconic thing where the one cool, iconic thing that happened is when he's swinging with MJ in the city, like with the point of view camera at the end for like a
That was the
minute or
best part of
so.
the whole movie for me.
Yeah, but any other iconic thing, like he does something that's sort of like unique, or he spins around, or whatever else, didn't really happen. And so part of it is once again, it's so. I feel like the people can't see the forest for the trees. The character's name is Spider-Man. And while you always have to have a story and a good structure and some dialogue, at the end of the day, the man's got to do some cool shit. I mean, at least Bryan Singer with Superman, there's a few scenes where Superman was doing some shit that was just like, well, that's just amazing. I didn't know he can do that. That's so fucking cool. Okay. I need to be saying that sometimes when I go see these superheroes. Give me a unique way. Of all the characters you would have with Captain America can't do half the shit that Spider Man can do. And they went in every movie there's something that Chris Evans is doing something, whether holding on to a bar and holding a helicopter down and doing some shit that you're just like, holy shit, this Captain America can do some. He's so strong or so you're mind boggled. I didn't really get that. It's just a whole bunch of swinging around and some explosions. It's woefully underwhelming. I mean, I get it that it pushes the story forward and it's everything else like that, but I don't know if I give it like the best Spider-Man movie ever because it's pushing the story forward. I
I'm
mean, fuck
not
that.
giving it the best Spider-Man story ever either. In fact, I'm going to go so far as to say right now, it is
Ugh.
probably my least favorite Spider-Man movie that's been done so far.
So
But
we
there,
got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Then you got Amazing Spider-Man
one
1
and
and
two,
2. And then
and
you've got
then
these two
Homecoming.
Spider-Man movies.
Right, it's a lot of Spider-Man. Um,
Okay, that's
but
interesting.
I will say there were things in the movie that I did like. The chemistry between Tom Holland and Zendaya is there. I think that was a great linchpin to connect us into the world of Peter Parker. I do think that the character of Spider-Man and Peter Parker there was an arc present that allowed you to go from the golly gee whiz, Mr. Stark, you're so awesome, Peter Parker that we've had in Homecoming and in Civil War to where now he's a little less wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at the end of this movie, and I appreciate that character development because I was waiting for them to let him grow up a little bit and stop being so teenagery. Um, but I will agree with you, the visuals were overwhelming at times and confusing at times and muddled at times. And you do need some clarity of positioning of like who's doing what, where, when, and why. And it got a little bit too much at certain points
Yeah,
in this movie.
it's kind of interesting to me, Bill, that like, part of it is when we have these conversations, you tell me like sometimes you're like, I don't really care about the villain. I'm here for the hero
Right.
and his arc. And I think the villain itself sometimes helps create the arc for the hero.
Right.
And sometimes what do else the doppelganger villain. I think with some of these villains, I understand that they're throwaway, and that's essentially what Mysterio was. He was a throwaway villain. Um,
The
I
problem
just
is they've
I,
done
I
this
I just wish
lot.
that they would have these throwaway villains actually have something outside of like robots flying around and doing something that it becomes a little bit not creative on their part. It's
Well,
just not.
they've done the storyline from Spider-Man: Far From Home already in Iron Man 3, way back in Phase 1, or maybe it was Phase 2. Um, but where you have the sort of fake out of the villain is not really, a super villain. He's just some guy making up some false mythology or reality, and he's really like a charlatan, like a Wizard of Oz or whatever you want to call it. They did that in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin, and they got a lot of backlash for it. It doesn't seem to be affecting people with the Spider-Man Far From Home storyline, and I'm confused about that because it is a repeat of something that wasn't successful the first time they did it. Um,
I think when I look at this story now talking to you, I feel as though it does this is what we want to do. We want to have him grow a little bit longer. We want to advance the relationship forward with MJ, and at the end, we want to maybe start to go down this path where his character, his identity is revealed to everyone. Okay, those are like the major points that they're trying to the major points that they're trying to hit. And then like, how do we do this? Well, we need to like wedge in some other villain, obviously, because it's a superhero movie, and then we just try to wedge in some sort of other antagonist in there. And that's where it seems I don't know. It's well, like I said, it's really on the low end for me.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, and I would agree with that. So, I hope there are improvements made before Spider-Man 3,
so
for
Spider-Man
sure.
3 is not even announced.
No, it's not. There's a lot of things that you would have expected would be announced for Phase 4 that weren't. Spider-Man 3 is one of them. Do you want me to cover Toy Story 4?
So let me think about here. No, not really.
That's nice.
No, no. You enjoyed Toy Story 4, though.
I
I
did
mean,
not
that's.
love it. I didn't love it. It was okay.
Oh, I forgot about that. Well, if you're gonna say something negative, then you can say it
Oh,
because
well,
usually.
well, okay. It was okay. It was not, up to the trilogy of Toy Story 1, 2, or 3 for me. It felt a little bit derivative. It didn't have that tight writing that I recognize from the first three movies that
Didn't
I
he?
rewatched.
Didn't he get a lot of accolades? Am I wrong on this?
Yeah, it did, but I mean, I personally didn't find it all that
Sure,
entertaining.
sure. But I'm just saying, it just seems,
It was
it's
okay. Again, the best thing that I can say about this summer is Endgame, and that was way back in April.
was the
So
Toy Story 4 story essential?
no, it didn't feel essential. It felt like a story that could really have been told on Netflix, um, or maybe not at all. I don't know. I mean, at the end, you do get sort of a new development where, um, why can't I remember the damn
Yeah, I got
Woody?
you.
Woody
What?
leaves the gang, and there's like, what happens now to Woody?
Yeah,
And
yeah. See, it's the same thing I'm saying. Is like it's like a benchmark. What do we want to do? The character now graduates, and it's like a huge development, and that's kind of cool. And like, where is he going to go from here on? But it's everything that happens before you get to the end part. That's the weak part. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, Spider-Man romancing Mary Jane is cool, and then his identity opening up a whole like, where does it go from here now that people know who he is? It creates this whole thing. Yeah, but if you were, yeah, what's interesting is Far From Home. When we watched that, you had all these villains on the island, where at the time, Michael Keaton's character wouldn't reveal his identity. Now his identity is out there. You know,
right. Which
it opens up
in
a
Fast
whole
and
nother
Furious, right?
can of worms, but it's so much going like when you look back at it and going, these building blocks build on one another, but there's, it's 2 hour, if it's a 2 hour movie, the 1 minute of like that part is great, but there's still another, hour and 58 minutes that you need to fill in properly too. That's Anyway,
I
that's what
just
Toy Story
personally,
sounds for me like. It's great. I like to see where this is going to go with Woody, but there's still some other stuff that needs to be just as tight. Anyway, moving on. What else?
it wasn't up to snuff for the Toy Story legacy for me.
Okay.
Um, and the final movie I
Do
saw,
you think that has anything to do with John Lasseter being gone?
I would like to think not, but I guess that will remain to be seen when they come out with these other movies. Like, well, Frozen 2 will be out this November. Um, and then next year they're doing a new Pixar. They're not going to do more sequels. They've said they're done with sequels for a while, which I'm sort of grateful for, considering that I was
Oh,
disappointed in The Incredibles 2 and Toy Story
yeah.
4.
Oh,
Um, so they're doing that Onward movie. There's another one that was announced that I can't remember, but um, so the final movie I saw this summer was yesterday. I went and saw.
like I pointed out, I think what I would prefer from Disney. They haven't necessarily been successful with some of their original projects lately, but isn't Frozen original?
Frozen's original, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
I
not
think if
Pixar though; it's just Disney proper.
okay, I think if there was a way to, I mean, the companies, they're making gobs of money, Bill. There's a way to Bloomhouse and manage loss. Okay, I understand that you're going to be putting $200 million in to make the next Avengers movie or whatever else you're going to do. Got it. Okay, but you're going to start a new project, which I'm sure like Frozen is the same way. We're going to do something new. Okay, well, how much do you want? We need 150. Well, we're not going to give you 150. Okay, well, can you give me 50? And maybe it might turn into a hit or it might not. But you can still try to, for every reboot or reimagination of the same shit, you can try to start a new avenue, a new vein with a different property. And if it does hit, then all of a sudden you can pump, as with anything, more money into it. You know, What is it? Matrix made for $80 million. You know, I don't know what their price point is or where it becomes too much, but I don't know why you can't. This is what I would like to see more from them. You know, um,
Which is what?
a mixture of some sort of new and original things, as well as what they want to do is just reboot their own shit. I would like to see a mixture. I understand that Tomorrowland failed. I understand A Wrinkle in Time failed. Um, I'm not suggesting that they sit there and make $300 million, $250 million original movies all the time, but certainly if Blumhouse can sit there and make hits under $20 million, I think Disney has made enough money to where they can try to actually take over the world more by creating some new shit. I mean, there are new stories to be told. New stories are being told all the time. If anybody can do it, it's the Mouse House can do it. As still as well as to make money off
What
Toy
would be their
Story 4,
motivation?
5, or 6, or 7, or 8.
What is their motivation to do it though? When this year alone they've broken the all-time box office record.
Well, their motivation is that sometimes these wells run dry. I mean, what do we have with Star Wars? At some point in time, they were sitting there thinking, which we talked about at the beginning, that we're just going to pump out anything and that people will go see it and buy it. Well, that didn't happen.
They've
So
made
now
7 point.
they're pumping the brakes and going, well, wait a second, we just can't throw anything out there. Part of it is I feel as
That
though they
hasn't
can just
hit
sit
Disney
there and
yet,
go,
though.
we'll just reboot some shit. We'll put a new coat of paint on it, and then we'll make $1 billion off of it. There's no motivation for it until it starts to fail, and then all
Right,
of a
which
sudden
it
they start
hasn't happened.
panicking.
I mean, for every Dumbo that they had this year, they've had
Well,
an
see, when you
Aladdin
ask me these
and a Lion
questions,
King.
you ask me from the shareholder position of going, what's their motivation to do it? I don't think they're monetary. They don't have a monetary motivation to do it. But if you're asking me as paying a popular cinema podcast as a consumer, this is what I want as a consumer. I don't really care about their money that they're making, Bill. As a consumer, I will hope for more original stuff.
I don't think they're getting the message about that just yet. I just don't. Because
Do you have a problem with me asking for it? Or are you telling me I'm
no,
just supposed to sit there and take Fast and Furious 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and 14?
no,
And
that's
then
not at all
wait,
what I'm
let
saying.
me have the spinoff of Vin Diesel's kid in Fast and Furious Junior Edition. One,
That's not what
two,
I'm
three,
saying at
four,
all.
5, and 6, and 7. I'm supposed
I'm
to be
saying
like,
you have
that's just
every
great.
right. I'm saying you have every right to want what you want.
Yes, thank you.
Looking at their bottom line, though, again, I don't think they're getting the message. They've made $7.6 billion so far this year on their remakes and reboots, and that's still got 2 more major pictures to come. So they're on track to earn $10 billion this year.
Looks like Superfan Melissa's buying more stock as we speak. Fuck the originals. Keep making those reboots.
So talk about original. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was what I saw yesterday with Quentin Tarantino directing. I wasn't impressed. And since then, I've gone back because I wanted some Quentin Tarantino in my blood this weekend. So I went back and watched Pulp Fiction, and I watched Jackie Brown, and I'm now in the middle of Kill Bill Volume 1. And those are what I wanted to see with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I didn't get. There was none of those Tarantinoisms in the dialogue. I guess part of the problem is, hey, Samuel L. Jackson really steps it up with the Quentin Tarantino movies, and I didn't get him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It just kind of bored me to tears, and I went back and watched Pulp Fiction. I'm like, that's exactly what I want. That crisp dialogue, those monologue scenes that go on for like 1 minute too long, but they're so fascinating that you can't stop watching. I just didn't feel any of that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was bored to tears.
If you didn't know it was the Quentin Tarantino's, you were going to see that movie, would you know it was a Quentin Tarantino movie?
No, I wouldn't. And that's a problem because Quentin Tarantino has a very strong voice, or he has in most of his movies that I've seen, which is why, 7 out of the 8 movies that he's already had on Blu-ray I own. That's kind of a high director to me liking the director ratio for me. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just didn't do it.
I'm looking at his movies, his oeuvre,
Mhm.
and I think my order of movies that I enjoy from him would be number 1 would be Pulp Fiction.
Okay. I just
and
watched it
number
this morning. It was still great.
and number two would be Jackie Brown.
Yep, that was great.
And I don't know where I would go. I would probably have to rewatch the rest of these movies. But those are two. I mean, Django Unchained I enjoy, but that's a different level of enjoyment. That's kind of intense.
Right.
That's a level of like, you know, that's I don't want to say heavy is the term, but sometimes you might need a bath after that or something. You know, uh,
Okay.
um, but I think those are two. I think with all the other movies, there's always some sort of like great scene in them, but there's other weak parts to it. Like I think with Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction, I just enjoy. Like I
Sure.
could turn on Jackie Brown and just enjoy it on a certain level. I think the rest of them have pros and cons.
Except for Inglorious Bastards.
Like a Hateful Eight, I find like maybe goes too long for me.
Really?
Um, yeah,
Maybe because there was like a wasn't there like some kind of like introduction
intermission. Yeah,
and an
yeah,
intermission?
yeah. So, but anyway, well, that's unfortunate.
Well,
Um,
they can't all be winners. Unfortunately, you're right. It is unfortunate because I didn't get what I wanted from my Quentin Tarantino movie.
did he indicate that maybe this might be his last movie?
No, he said he wants to do 10. This is his ninth, so he's got one more in him somewhere. He said
I
it's
looked
going to
at
be a while.
the first review that I will see here when I'm looking at IMDb. The first review that pops up from the commentary people. This film will certainly divide audiences. I don't know what
Yeah,
that means, but that's the first thing that popped up.
yeah, it did. I just as a fan of Quentin Tarantino isms and Quentin Tarantino's voice, like the M Night Shyamalan voice that I like, I just didn't get it, and I felt like this dialogue wasn't written by Quentin Tarantino. It didn't sound Tarantino-esque. I don't know how to explain that, but he's got a certain tone to his voice. When you watch his movies, you can go, "Is this a Quentin Tarantino movie?" Most of the time, and this time I just didn't feel it. I was
Now,
really
most of
like
these people
antsy.
are saying that this movie took their breath away. He
Sure.
created a new genre of film. We don't deserve this movie. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I feel like this is like the LA. What's that movie with Ryan Gosling that won the Academy Awards? LA something?
The musical?
Yeah. I love
Uh,
Hollywood, LA Story.
no, it was LA something. It completely slips my
Yeah.
mind at the moment.
Yeah. I felt that was kind of bullshit. But anyway, moving on. All right. So
No.
what else we got, Bill?
That's all I got. So you're up if you got more.
I don't know if I really have more. I mean, we've gone extra long here,
Yeah,
and I
we're
guess
almost at 3 hours.
technically, we might as well hit the 3 hour mark and call it a day.
Okay.
I'm not going to try to make it 3 hours, but we're kind of close to here. I don't know. I kind of went through my list, and what is your top Quentin Tarantino movies? Do you have a top two or three or four? I mean,
I
I
would
guess you were.
I would
Go
agree
ahead.
with you. I would put Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction up there at number 1 and 2.
You are a big fan of Kill Bill, part one and
I'm
part
watching.
two.
I prefer part 2 from what my memory gives me. But part 1's okay. But I think part 1 is a little bit more violent and over the top with the violence. There's that animated segment in there explaining the origin of Lucy Liu's character,
Uh-huh.
Orenishi. And I find some of it a bit gratuitous. But you get more into the character development and the monologuing that I'm used to with Quentin Tarantino movies in Volume 2. So right now I'm in the middle of Volume 1 and I'm enjoying it. I haven't finished it yet though, and I'll move on to Volume 2. But I prefer Volume 2 to my recollection.
I'm currently watching The Boys on Amazon Prime. I think we talked about The Boys on the show before regarding
Right.
whether the
It's
material.
getting I'm getting really lots of positive feedback on my Twitter timeline on this. Does that mean I'm going to watch it? No. It means I'm tempted a little.
And I think, as I discussed with you, I think it's a tale of a story that's a little bit different take. Once again, where I feel like if heroes were existing in 2019 under President Clownface, And we have corporations being invested in everything and controlling everything, that you might have heroes that might be under their direction or influence. And, you
The
know,
concept sounds great. My only qualms or worries about the show is the stuff that you tell me about, where it's very over sexualized and very derogatory towards women, for one thing.
that's a huge problem for me. And I think we talked about the scene in question, and that's a huge problem for me. And I feel as though in the comic book, which I stopped reading, was gratuitous
Right.
on a whole nother level, where I think it's very sophomoric. And maybe if I was 8 years old or 10 or something else, you'd be like, they're using swear words. you know,
Right.
uh, right now, I'm
The
only in
heroes behave deplorably in this version, correct?
what's
They're
that?
not. The heroes behave in a deplorable manner. They are not what you would consider your classic heroes.
So far, you have this. They're called the Vought Seven, and right now, it's not like they've introduced every character and you've got to know them all. But generally speaking, they seem to be not your classic characters of the Justice League.
Right.
But you do have a person that is joining the group who would be the classic person, which you would expect your heroes to be. The person that's just like, I dreamed of being a hero and I dreamed of helping out the little people. And then when somebody says to you, like, you're really getting a lot of feedback positive from this segment of the population, and you're just like, I didn't do that to get feedback. I did it because I want to help people out. And they're like, oh, that's cute. Anyway, that's why people love you.
How long
Okay.
before they turn this character into a deplorable human being the
I
way
don't
they
think
are?
that's her arc. I think
Okay.
her arc is that she stays true to herself. And um, I think that's her arc.
Okay.
Because I think, in essence, I think if you're going to do this story right, in my opinion, I don't know if you really go where she somehow changes from being who she is to being a deplorable person. I think that then the show in itself would be very depressing,
Right.
to where and I think you have I think what you have is you have two factions. You have the factions of the ones that are like the heroes that are not your classic heroes, that are very selfish, who care about their stock options, who care about making money and filling their own basic sexual needs or whatever else that gets them off. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you have the other group that goes, the only good hero is a dead hero. I imagine that would be their motto. And they're designed to check these heroes that are run a little bit amok. Okay. They're the
That's
police force.
that's the
Okay.
boys, as the
That's
title.
the boys. Right.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to bash their heads in. I think that's the role they're playing. And then I think for us, the viewer, you have two heroes. The one hero with superpowers that goes that she wants to be right in the world that's probably being bad.
Mhm.
And then you have the other guy that's going to be probably part of the boys, the Huey character, that goes, you know what, I lost somebody that's really close to me, and I want to make it right, but I don't know if they're going to make him go like everybody's got to die, because his girlfriend's going to probably end up being a superhero. So you're going to have that dichotomy that not everybody is bad, but then I think with the episode and 10 minutes in that they're going to keep it a little bit gray. You're going to have these fringes of characters that are extreme, but I think the main characters you will keep it a little bit more centered and gray.
Okay.
So we'll
And what
see.
episode are you on now?
I'm still on the second episode. I've been working actually this weekend, so I haven't had time to go. But I'm hoping I continue. I mean, listen, let's be quite honest. We saw the trailers, and there's going to be some scenes which I haven't got to that were going to be gratuitous, where we're squashing people's heads and blood is squirting out through legs. Once again, I don't know if that's going to be necessary, and actually that's going to distract from it. But I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm not there yet. So right now, it's been a pleasant surprise, even for me, who I didn't think, I'm not a fan of Casting Couch, but it was done in a way that didn't make me just completely go, this shit's got to go. So,
Yet.
I mean, I think that's a credit to them.
So far, so good.
Yes, because I stopped reading the book. Obviously, I
Right.
stopped reading the book, and um, but it's the same thing with what? Didn't we try American Gods? Didn't we try American Gods?
Yes.
And what was our problem with American Gods?
I just found the whole thing kind of confusing and not fun to watch.
It was confusing. The mythos was
Yeah,
not
I
fun
didn't
to
really get it.
watch. What's that?
I just didn't really get it.
I didn't get it either. And I think by the time if you're not getting it, and then all of a sudden somebody's being eaten up by somebody's vagina and
Oh
some
yeah,
other
there was
stuff,
that.
you're just like, if I would have got it, this might have been cool, but it's not cool, and I don't care. And then I'm
Right.
out. But
Right.
that train is moving along. By the way, Walking Dead is now canceled. The
What?
comic book. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was like, what? The
Robert
series?
Kirkman is ending the comic book.
Right.
Um, I know you were reading it thoroughly from issue
Yeah.
1 to
Cover to
192.
cover. Um.
All right. I don't know if I have anything else, but you know what? We can save it for show 93.
Well, there you go. Do we want to do box office?
Yeah, I feel. You think we waited to show down too much on your discussion about your racism earlier?
Yes. I do.
I mean, if we could probably switch this back in and move it forward, that would probably be better. But this
It
is
is
what
what it
happens.
is.
Sometimes we hit the real issues, Bill. We tackle the real issues on the show.
Yeah, we're like news at 10. Um,
I mean, sometimes occasionally we can get a little bit Entertainment Weekly, but other times we're like frontline with this shit. Okay.
by the way, do you still subscribe to Entertainment Weekly real quick?
I think I might have just bought a subscription because they're now, what is it? They're doing it once a month now?
Yeah, it's Entertainment Monthly now.
Yeah, I think they gave me a deal where it was like $5 or $6 or something. But it's a deal where they're going to give it to me for 5 or 6 months for like $8 and then charge me like $50 if I don't cancel it, when it's time to renew or something.
Yeah, here's the thing. They're still calling it Entertainment Weekly because that's a brand name and they don't want to change the brand name, but the
To
magazine only
Entertainment
comes out.
Monthly.
Right. The magazine only comes out once a month. I think that's so fucking stupid. It's just so stupid. Why are we calling it Entertainment Weekly and it only comes out once a month?
Yeah, everybody knows this. It's the EW, Bill. We're going to change the E site. We're going to change the website.
Right. They're gonna have
It's going to be, instead of EW, it's going to be EM. EM's already taken, Bill.
I'm just saying it doesn't make any damn sense. Does a magazine that comes out once a month seem like a weekly to you? Hell no. It doesn't seem like a weekly
Bill,
to me
it's
either.
a financial decision.
Okay, well, they're
I'm looking
financially
at
full of shit. That's what they financially are full of. I mean,
It
I
looks
still
like
have my subscription.
somebody owns the EM domain name right now. It looks like somebody's got that space waiting for Entertainment Weekly to go Entertainment Monthly. They're just they're sitting on it. They're sitting on it.
How about
already.
Entertainment Monthly? That's what I'm waiting for. Entertainment Monthly. I'm kind of done with that magazine anyway because I think their writing's bullshit. But anyway.
Okay. You want to
All
hit
right.
Box Office Mojo?
Yeah.
Okay, for the weekend ending July 26th and 28th, 2019, I'm going to apologize to our fans because apparently we're going to have to find a new way to post this show since Google Hangouts is ending on August 1st. The number one movie is Bill's favorite, The Lion King, bringing in another $75 million, bringing his grand total, domestic and worldwide, to $962 million. It's going to be
Jesus
joining
Christ.
the billion-dollar clubs.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Just saying. It's like, why did we not have stock in this company?
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. If I had a lot of stock in the company, do you think I would complain as much? I'd be like this, you know what? I haven't seen The Lion King, but I hear it's fantastic. Take the children, take the grandparents, take people you don't know to see it.
Right.
Once again, the standard is becoming $1 billion, maybe $1.2 billion. Yeah.
All the other companies are out of luck.
Yeah, I mean, when it was Part 3, I'm expecting it's got to be $1 billion, $900 million. In its opening week, the number 2 movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
which had made how much?
$40 million.
Yeah, I heard that has underperformed what they expected it. I mean, sorry, overperformed what they expected it to make.
Usually, Quentin Tarantino movies actually don't really pull in a lot of money at the box office.
Right.
And so $40 million has to be
It's on the
Good for
high end.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, the movie cost $90 million.
that's because of Brad Pitt and Leo, I'm sure.
You know, but that's good for them.
Plus,
I
it is a
mean,
period piece, so that probably was expensive to get all those period cars and shit.
yeah, yeah, I guess. In the third movie, in its fourth week of release, believe it or not, Spider-Man Far From Home, on a budget of 160 million, has now crossed over the $1 billion mark.
Uh huh.
There goes that story that if the movie didn't make $1 billion, Sony can get the movie back.
Yeah.
Somewhere Kevin Feige and the rest of Disney is like, yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, I imagine they'll be making an announcement sometime rather quickly that Spider-Man 3 is in development
Mhm.
if they
Yeah,
can work it out with Sony.
yeah, yeah. Whatever. You keep printing this money, we'll take it.
Right.
Um, See, but the thing about it is, Payne's formula, which I know you don't agree with, Spider-Man Far From Home has
Right.
made more money than Spider-Man Homecoming. Am I correct?
Yes. It's
Right.
made more money than any of the Spider-Men.
Okay. So it's made more money than the last one. What's the third one going to do? It
Supposedly
should
make
make more money than Far From Home.
right.
If it doesn't, it's going to indicate a problem.
I don't think it's going to indicate a problem
It
because
indicates a problem for me, Bill. What are you talking about? It's the third movie. These movies are arcs. One, two, three.
I
The
think
first movie makes $10 million. The second movie makes $20 million. Why would you think that the movie would make less than the first movie
because
or the
all of the
second
other
movie?
Spider-Men before this one made less money. All of them. All 5 of them. 6 of them.
What do you mean made less money?
Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, 3, Amazing, Amazing 2, and Homecoming all made less money than the ones
No.
previous to them.
These are separate Spider-Man universes, Bill.
Okay, so you're in just between Homecoming and
Separate
Far From Home.
storylines. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm
I'm
just saying.
talking. No. That's the reason why you don't have Amazing Spider-Man 3,
Right.
because Amazing Spider-Man 2 did not
Or
do as well as.
Spider-Man 4 from the first
Yeah.
version.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. When you start to lose money,
They were all
it's because.
losing money.
What's that?
They all lost money compared to the previous versions of all of them until now.
I don't know what you're.
I'm saying
You're telling me that original
your
Sam
formula
Spider.
doesn't always work.
Would
That's what
you?
I'm
No,
saying.
no. You're telling me that Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi version, made less money than the first Spider-Man with Vulture?
That's correct.
Well, see, that's a problem. I
Which
would
is why
indicate a problem for me.
we're on the third version of this character now.
To me, that's like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 problem. If you make a sequel and the sequel doesn't make as much movie as the first damn movie, which is why you made the sequel, then I don't know why you would get a third movie from me, because at that point, this is where you're sitting there going, we need to go in a different direction because you didn't even make the fucking back the first money from the first movie. That's key. That seems like common sense to me. Why are you getting a sequel? Because if the first movie was a hit, we're not expecting it to make less money. If we were, why would we make the sequel?
Well, because you can still make more money than none, which is if you don't make the sequel, is what you're going to get.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I expect
Okay.
the third Spider-Man movie to make more than Far From Home. If it doesn't, it's going to be looked at as a sort of like failure.
Well, Homecoming made less money than Far From Home, and it was considered enough of a success to make Far From Home. So it doesn't
Wait, what?
always work there. Homecoming was made
That's
less
the
money
first
than Far From Home.
Spider-Man movie.
Well, it's the first one in this new version.
Yes, and the first one in the new version. It's
Right.
setting a precedent. It's with Tom Holland. You can't hold
Right.
it to. Go ahead.
Well, it made less money than this movie, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Okay.
right. It's supposed to.
Okay.
You're not understanding my formula.
I think I get it now. Okay.
The second movie's got to make more than the first movie, the sequel. Deadpool 2 has got to make more money than Deadpool 1.
Which wasn't announced at the comic convention either. Interesting.
Huh. Yeah, well, I'm not losing any sleep over that.
Oh, neither am I.
Eventually, I mean, these movies become a little bit different because, like Thor Ragnarok, that's an uncharted territory. You're making a fourth one. That's, you know, if you ask me, that the movie should make more. I mean, it's like the story is getting better and better. It's like the Avengers movie; they keep making more and more money. Like the story keeps building and getting better and better. You know, you get more excited and get more fans. It's like Game of Thrones. What happens with Game of Thrones over these seasons? The audiences keep building and building season after season after season, culminating in record-setting people watching, season 10 or season 8.
Right.
These people weren't all watching from season 1. It keeps growing because it keeps getting more popular. So in essence, if the movie is growing and getting more popular and making more money, then you don't lose fans. The only reason why you start to lose fans is then all of a sudden people become uninterested or whatever reason, or they don't care or something else. It would indicate to me a problem. Like if Avengers Endgame came out, what is it? The Avengers Age of Ultron, it made $1 billion and how much money?
1.2 maybe.
1.2. If you had Avengers Infinity War came out and it made $900 million, would you not sit there and go, it didn't even make as much as Age of Ultron? We're at the end of the story now. This is where it all ends, the culmination of everything, the Deathly Hallows of Harry Potter. And it's making less money than Age of Ultron. That means, what the hell does that mean?
Age of Ultron made less money than Avengers 1, though.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just
that would have been a
saying.
problem. I felt that was a problem. We argued that show. I felt that was a problem.
Well, it wasn't a problem enough not to get Infinity War made.
Well, no, I guess it was not. But generally speaking, I think on a smaller budget movie, I think that gets you canned because you're moving in the opposite direction of what they
Right.
expect you to be doing.
It's
I
called
think
Batman versus Superman. No, but Batman versus Superman made a lot of money. It just didn't make any critical reception.
did it?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
made $800 million. Remember, because you argued that an $800 million movie cannot be considered a failure of any kind.
yes, I did remember arguing that. I feel as though like that should have still bought it time to make another one. But you said that. I mean, part of it was the critical. It got panned,
Right.
and even though it made a shit ton of money, it was one of those things like if we do this third movie, and people already said they didn't think this shit sucks,
Then
we're
we're
gonna
going to
get
make
our
less
ass
money.
handed to us.
Right.
Yeah. So we were lucky to make the 800 million with people saying it sucked. Are we really going to tempt the fates with continuing in the same direction?
And here we are with the Joker movie coming out in October. Not even on my schedule. So
The number 4 movie in a 6-week of release is Toy Story 4, which is at 9. And well, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm
highest,
doing it. It made another $10 million this week, bringing its grand total to $917 million.
highest grossing of all the Toy Story movies, is what I heard.
Oh, okay.
I wish it deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, these movies are all somehow becoming $1 billion. I mean,
Yeah.
I
All
don't,
the
I don't,
money's going to one company, though. Nobody
yeah,
else is making this kind of money. Only
I,
Disney.
I don't know how if I look at that as being a, I think it's a different environment now than it was 2 decades ago.
Yes, less movies, but making more money per movie is what's happening.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing, Bill. I don't look at it as being like, holy shit. I think yes.
So all the movie money is going to one place. It's going to one company that owns everything.
Is that a problem?
Not necessarily yet. I can see it potentially being a problem. If we keep getting more Lion King retreads, then yeah, it can be a problem for me. At this point, I'm still willing to say Marvel's got a lot of diversity happening. They've got a lot of original stuff coming, at least original as far as not being a reboot of a previous thing they've already done. I still think they're on the good side of the conglomerate concern, but I can see that they could be moving if they keep getting billions of dollars from movies that they're barely trying to make. Then yeah, it could be a problem.
Okay. The number 5 movie, I'm not going to disagree on that. The number 5 movie is Crawl, the alligator movie, in its
Oh,
third week of release.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
my husband hasn't insisted that we see that, but he's been busy
yeah.
lately with work. So
It brought in $4 million, bringing his grand total to $45 million
is that a
on a
hit?
budget of 13 million.
Oh, guess it's a hit.
Yeah, you'll get a crawl too.
Yeah.
There's some other movies in here. You have Yesterday, the Beatles singer guy, where the Beatles didn't exist. That movie's made 109 million worldwide on a budget of $26 million. You have Stuber with Guardians of the Galaxy alum Dave Batista.
Right. I saw the
Um,
trailer for that. I think.
that's made $25 million in 3 weeks.
Really.
I think that's probably great for them. I don't know if I'm expecting anything else. And of course, we have Avengers Endgame. I think you've indicated to me that it's now become the highest grossing movie ever. It
Yes.
stands at almost $2.8 billion.
Wow. That's almost $3 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty soon, I think getting to the 3 billion club might be possible.
A lot of money.
And I think it's going to be a superhero movie that does it.
Probably. I mean, if we keep going the way we're going.
Yeah. I don't see.
You think it'll be anything in Phase 4? No.
That's
Probably
a good
not.
joke because I was starting. Funny thing is, I was thinking about it in my mind. I was thinking it's got to be a Phase 5 movie, but the joke is, do you think it'll be anything in Phase 4?
We're just gonna skip over Phase 4.
Actually, you know what, Bill? I'm not going to make the title that Bill and Donald Trump have something in common. I'm not going to do that for
Thanks, I appreciate it.
episode 92. But what I think I will sit there and maybe say like this: is any movie? It's too long. But is any movie in Phase 4 going to be the first $3 billion movie? That's what the question is. Which one is it? Which one is the highest grossing movie out of those? Out of Eternals, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, and Thor, Love and Thunder. What's the order? Shang-Chi.
And Shang-Chi. I'm gonna guess just on.
What's the ranking order of who's going to make the most money out of that group?
I think it's going to be Black Widow or Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, obviously, I can't predict the Eternals because I have no reference point. I can't predict Shang-Chi, no reference point. Doctor Strange was a middling movie as far as how much money it made. But Thor Ragnarok was a runaway hit, and I think Black Widow is going to get the Wonder Woman audience. So I'm going to go with probably Thor: Love and Thunder, and Black Widow is the second.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think I'm going to say Thor. I'm going to say the Eternals first, and then Thor.
Why would you think the Eternals?
I'm hoping that when that trailer comes out, it's going to be something that's going to be amazing and something really cool.
Okay.
That's my only hope. I mean, if I'm getting to the point where out of Phase 4 that Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder is like the number one out of this group, that's just going to be sad for me.
Not what you want to be. What do you think will be? Not including what you want it to be.
Well, what makes sense is Thor,
right,
to be number one. What makes sense to me also is Doctor Strange to be 2. I just don't know if I don't think Black Widow doesn't have superpowers.
I know, but it's a woman.
She's got to be some real badass bitch, thriller ass, something that separates her from Atomic Blonde and Red Sparrow, which she does because she's got that.
It's like Jason Bourne.
Yeah, we've had those with females. I just don't know that she's going to be able to carry that weight to where it needs to be. So I would put her at 3 and Eternals at 4. But once again, like you said, it's unknown. And then Shang-Chi at 5. So I look forward to us coming back several years from now and all of a sudden being like, how the fuck is Shang-Chi number 1? How the fuck?
Right.
Is it going to be Black Panther all again, where you're going to have all the Asians showing up in like kimonos or something else?
I'm going to wear one. I'm going to wear a geisha
right. At the parties, is it going to be Hong Kong forever? Hong Kong forever. I'm sorry, that was almost racist the way I said
Almost.
that.
It was getting
I
close.
I did not.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Are they going to have some kind of tie-in with like Happy Meals at all the Chinese food, fast food restaurants that we have?
yeah. I mean, there you go. There you go.
That was just strictly racist. I just don't even hide it.
That's good. That's good. Steamed or fried. Got it. I mean, that's fine. We've been proving wrong with Black Panther. We'll see. I mean, but that's whatever else. Anyway, you still have your Aladdin. It's still on the charts. It's crossed over the $1 billion mark.
Can you imagine all these movies that Disney's having? I mean, they can shit dollar bills.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
they can, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can. They're really, yeah, I mean,
They're having quite a year, and it's not over
yeah.
yet.
Once you're talking to me, so what do they have left coming out this year?
Frozen 2,
Frozen?
which we all know is going to be a cultural touchstone because the first one was, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which is the final sequel trilogy Star Wars movie.
No. Yeah, you know what? I feel like that's flying under the radar, Bill.
Star Wars or Frozen?
Star Wars.
Yeah, well, we're still several months away, and we have to deal with the disappointment. Of
Yeah,
the
I
Last
feel as
Jedi.
though, like, once again, I feel like this is the Last Jedi hangover,
Sure.
and I feel as though there should be more excitement for it. And I mean, I'm sure once we start to get closer and they start dropping more stuff, that might increase. But I feel like there's a little bit of a
Paul.
yeah, whatever.
Over it.
What's coming out the fall season? It's that right now.
Right.
I felt there was more excitement than when Force Awakens came out.
You're not going to believe this, but you're starting to cut out now.
Hello?
Keep talking. Yeah, hello. Go ahead. Yeah. Hello.
Bill? All right. Thanks for listening to us.
Are you there?
I've been
I'm
your
Bill.
co-host, Payne. I am.
can now.
you hear me? And I will. Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Well, we can just wrap it up. Fuck it. We'll wrap it up, Bill.
All right. We'll see you.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll get back to our normal schedule.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Really? So sad.
Goodbye.
Bye.